Hey everybody, today we're debating flat Earth and we are starting right now with Maddie's opening statement. Maddie, the floor is all yours.
Thank you so much, James. I'm really excited to be back. New topic for me. So, hi, team. I'm Maddie. You can find me here on YouTube at ScienceSideUp. I'm a PhD student in meteorology at the University of Oklahoma. I have a bachelor's degree from MIT in math and Earth, atmospheric, and planetary sciences. And I have a good working experience in the United States Navy as a nuclear instructor at Naval Nuclear Power School. And then after the Navy, I came to the university I'm at now, got my master's degree, and now I'm working on my PhD. So that is sort of my background and credentials. And so what I would like to do with my opening statement is I had a chance to take a look at some previous points that Nathan has brought up regarding specifically Earth's atmosphere. And so I thought I would spend my opening statement addressing those points. First claim from flat earthers that I've heard is that on a rotating sphere, the top of the atmosphere has to move faster than the air at the surface due to conservation of angular momentum. And then the statement about that is that that's impossible because there's no force that would cause that motion. That is something that's observed. The winds aloft travel much faster than winds at the surface. The thing which causes the difference in that airspeed is just friction. It's just the contact force, it's friction between different layers of air or between the air and the surface. Now, it's also true that the reason that we measure those differences in winds is predominantly because of friction at the surface and not that conservation of angular momentum. The Earth's atmosphere is much thinner than it is wide. So its horizontal scale is much larger than its vertical scale. And that's important because that's sort of like if I was going to spin in a circle like that, the tip of my finger is certainly moving faster than my elbow. And that's not really a big deal, right? Things that rotate, that's all okay. But when we're talking about the Earth's rotation and the difference between the rotation of the surface versus the top of the atmosphere, that's kind of like talking about the difference between the speed of, say, the tip of my finger and my first knuckle here. It's just not a huge difference. It's really not a big of a deal. So that's sort of that point. A second point I've often heard is that if the Earth was spinning, the atmosphere would behave like a giant blender, the blender effect, where you would have sort of a whirlpool or something like that form at the center. And that's just an issue of geometry. So a blender is approximately a cylinder, right? And Earth is a sphere, right? So the geometry of fluid dynamics is very, very different between a sphere and a cylinder. So to get that sort of blender effect, you need a sharp top and bottom, like a very, very sharp, those would be the boundary conditions of our fluid dynamics problems. So one place you do see that type of blender effect, where you can see the whirlpool type looking thing, is going to be with something like a hurricane or a tornado. And for both of those are still, compared to the size of the Earth, those are very small features. And they effectively do have a hard boundary at the top and at the bottom. So the ground forms a hard, sharp boundary, and the top, it's the troposphere, the tropopause specifically, which is it's very difficult for atmosphere air in the lowest layer of the atmosphere, the troposphere, to move into the next layer of the air, the stratosphere, and vice versa. Except for extreme cases and extreme events, you can consider the tropopause to be a sort of hard cap. So when you have a hurricane or a tornado, you have rising motion up to that hard cap, and then it comes down, and then that whole system is spinning. So you get something that locally does in fact look like a cylinder. But if you're talking about Earth's atmosphere as a whole, that geometry there, that is a sphere. And so It's not going to have that blender effect because you don't have that flat boundary condition at the top. Third point, if the Earth was spinning, then westward flights would have 1,000-mile-per-hour headwind. North-south flights would have 1,000-mile-per-hour crosswind. And I think it would be then eastward flights would have 1,000-mile-per-hour tailwind. That's sort of the claim. And that's also not going to be true, right? So planes start here on planet Earth. So they're already moving at Earth's rate when they take off, right? And throughout its flight. So for the same exact reason that it is not more difficult to walk up the aisle of a plane than it is down it, it is not more difficult for a plane to fly east than it is west. This has to do with relative motion, right? So the plane is already moving at the same speed as the atmosphere, at the same speed of the Earth's rotation. So all movement here on terra firma boils down to relative motion. Maybe an easier way to think about it is if you and your buddy are riding in the car together, you're traveling at 60 miles an hour and you see, I don't know, do people still play slug bug or punch bug, right? You see a Volkswagen Bug on the road and you punch your friend. You don't hit them, even if you were to say punch them from behind. So the direction of your punch, that direction of force is in the same direction that the car is moving. You don't hit them with the force of a moving car. You only hit them with the force of your fist, right? And then the last point that I have as a note to talk about is that if the Earth is rotating, why do we not observe plumes of, say, smoke or the plumes from volcanic eruptions for the Earth to rotate under them? Why don't we observe why don't we observe what you see, say, like when you have exhaust from a train or a ship or something like that, where the train is sort of moving faster than the exhaust, right? So you get this streak behind it. Why do we not see that if the Earth is rotating? And this boils down to Earth real big, right? The Earth is very, very big. And so in order for an object on planet Earth to notice that it is rotating, that object needs to be about 1,000 kilometers across. Anything smaller than that, and it's too small to feel Earth's rotation. So a great example of this would be, think about you're on the merry-go-round at the park and you spin it really, really fast. If you get on that merry-go-round, you are going to feel the force of the rotation, right? You're going to feel that. That's because you're approximately the same size as the merry-go-round. But if you put like a little ant or a worm or a beetle, they would have absolutely no problem walking up, down, and all around that merry-go-round, and they would probably not notice that it was rotating. Another way to think about that is, I want you to do a little thought experiment with me. Imagine for a moment that you've got your car and you've got a big empty parking lot and you are going to do donuts, right? So you're doing donuts in this parking lot at like 60 miles an hour, right? Think about how that would feel, about how hard you would have to lean against the force of that car's rotation. So now imagine that you are driving your car at a constant 60 miles an hour, constantly turning, but the same type of motion as you are with doing the donuts in the parking lot, but instead you are, say, driving the perimeter of Utah or a circle approximation of the perimeter of Utah, right? It's the same thing. You're turning at a rate of 60 miles an hour, right? But you're not going to feel it in nearly the same way as you do when you're doing donuts. And you probably won't even notice that you're turning if you're not paying attention to your compass. And that's because the size of the circle matters, right? So Earth real big, right? And that matters a whole lot when we're talking about planetary scales of motion of the atmosphere. I'm concerned I'm getting close to my 10-minute mark. I didn't see when I started, but those were my 4 main points. And so I guess I can concede the rest of my time to Nathan.
Thank you very much. We will now kick it over to Nathan Thompson. Want to let you know, if it's your first time here at Modern Day Debate, we are a neutral platform hosting debates on science, religion, and politics. And so, if this is your first time here, hit that subscribe button, as we are thrilled to have many epic upcoming debates in the future, including tomorrow night. We'll have a juicy one. And so with that, we'll kick it over to Nathan Thompson for his 10-minute opening statement as well. Nathan, the floor is all yours.
Thanks, James. I really appreciate the platform you run and the work you do. I've been a Patreon of you for a while, so thanks for that. All the debates you do, you put a lot of work, not just into the debate, but behind the scenes. Maddie, thank you for joining me for the debate. I appreciate you taking the time to chat with me. To the audience, if you don't know who I am, my name's Nathan Thompson. I used to have a YouTube channel called Nathan Thompson, but that got deleted. I used to run the largest flat earth research group in the world, 150,000 members, but that got deleted. So the truth is getting buried, guys. They don't want anyone saying anything against High Priest Fauci or the Lord and Savior of COVID, Bill Gates. So just be careful out there. Make sure you test all things yourself and hold fast to that which is true. I'm sorry, Maddie, but your entire opening was not proving Earth's a globe. You're just talking about stuff I say. So I think you have the same problem as a lot of the people who come into this and try and debate flat Earth. It's that you haven't tested Earth yourself, and that's kind of what I've done full time for the last 5 years. So it's a big problem, condemnation before investigation. We're trained to do this in school. The idea of flat Earth is taught as a sign that someone's, abject, ignorant, moron. And the idea of globe is always portrayed as, such a savior of science and everything. They ingrained that in our minds. And so you can lead globe earthers to flat water, but you cannot make them think critically about the shape of the earth. But once you go flat, you never go back, guys. The truth is incontrovertible. Malice will attack it. Ignorance will try and deride it. But in the end, there it is. And an honest person, when proven to be wrong, must admit he is wrong, or he no longer remains to be an honest person. So the scriptures that I read, guys, say test all things and hold fast to that which is true. So if anyone says, Nate thinks it's flat because it's in the Bible. Well, what's also in the Bible is test all things and hold fast to that which is true. Now, one of the things I've been doing on my Clown World Tour journey is getting to the bottom of these 150 proofs or so. I have memorized that the earth, I don't know if you can read those, but I did write a mirror image for you guys on the next page. So you should be able to read those. Leonardo da Vinci did all his journals mirror image. He was arguably one of the most creative people of all time. So I would look into that for sure. But we've got abyssal planes, guys, accelerometer, Ares failure, airplane level flight, Elias effect, astroarchaeology, which I have done on the tour. Every ancient civilization knew that the earth was flat. The Bedford level test with Samuel Rowbotham. Bar de Acrens is the world record photograph. You can see 270 miles. There's 50,000 feet of missing earth curve. I've tested Earth in 9 states and 2 continents. It's flat everywhere. Not just that, but the sky is a map and a clock. We have 88 constellations and a northern pole star. They've been using the northern pole star and the 88 constellations to celestial navigate the oceans since all of recorded history. They use astrolabes and sextants, and we're not blasting through space, okay? They say on the mainstream model, Earth's moving 500,000 miles through the Milky Way. It's moving around the sun 66,600 miles an hour. It's spinning faster than the speed of sound, which is 666 knots per second, by the way. And it's got a circumference of 21,600 nautical miles, which is 6 times 6 times 600, by the way, which coincidentally matches up close to the moon's diameter, which is 2160, which is 6 times 6 times 60. But it all works, guys, because of big G, which is 6.67. It's a total joke, guys. I'm sorry that they teach this to children. I'm sorry adults propagate these lies. It's time for us to wake up, remove the scales from our eyes. So if an honest man's proven to be wrong, he must admit he is wrong, or he no longer remains to be an honest man. So that was one thing I had to face is, am I going to be an honest man and tell people the truth about Earth? Because I've tested it myself. I know it's not curving in all directions. If Earth's a ball 24,901 miles around, like they say, that would necessitate the Earth curve would be 0.666 feet per mile squared. I didn't make up that number. That's according to Pythagorean theorem, Sagitta, and AutoCAD, which is an engineering program they use to make parts. Okay, I didn't make this up. This is the globe Earth map. So it would curve that way in all directions. The problem is, let's say you include the observer height. Well, you include the observer height, now the horizon would be 1.225 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. So at 1 foot, the horizon would be 1.225 miles out from the observer. The problem with that is we falsified it with the black swan. So the horizon is actually 10 times farther than it should be, which means either Earth's 10 times bigger of a ball than they say it is, which would make the circumference of the Earth the orbital path of the moon, which means, well, basically NASA's lying about everything, or the Earth is flat and the horizon is apparent. It's not a geometric physical edge of a ball that boats disappear behind, because we've been doing this for 5 years. Get a high power zoom camera or a telescope. The boats that disappear bottom first, you can zoom in and still see them. Now, telescopes are, of course, obeying the laws of optics. So all things disappear due to the law of perspective. You can't see things forever. We're not Superman, okay? So, and also to everyone in the chat, you'll see people in the chat, guys, calling me Natalie, and they're filled with hatred, and they have nothing better to do than spend their Friday night like listening to me and talking about me. But the scriptures say, blessed are you when men curse you and revile you and speak all kind of evil against you falsely for my name's sake. Rejoice, for great is your reward in heaven. So don't you guys worry. I'm going to throw a party for all you guys later. Thank you so much for the hate. I love it. If anyone else is a hater and they don't have anyone to hate on, feel free to hate on me. Okay. So that's my time, James, my opener. I can discuss Maddie's points back and forth. I think it's going to be real cordial. She seems really cool. So that's what I got for you, James.
You got it. We will jump into the open discussion, folks. Want to remind you of a couple of things. In particular, our guests are linked in the description. So if you'd like to hear more from our guests, you certainly can by clicking on those links. And also want to let you know, we are thrilled, you guys, as if you were listening via our podcast, which we are very excited that we are on podcast now. And so find us on your favorite podcast app. If you're listening to this debate via your favorite podcast app, want to let you know the links of the speakers are in the description there as well. And so you can also access our guest links through the podcast description box. And so with that, thank you very much. We will jump into open conversation, which we will, if it gets rowdy, kick it into 2 to 3 minute intervals between the speakers. The floor is all yours. Thanks so much, Maddie and Nathan.
I don't think
So, Nathan, I don't mind if there's something specific you want to chat about, but I would be really interested in talking with you about hurricanes.
Okay, great. Real quick, I just want to say, you talked about two buddies moving in the car at 60 miles an hour. You remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do you know that the two guys in the car, if the car is stationary, that they're also not going to feel any movement because it's stationary?
Correct.
Okay.
So, yeah. So movement at a constant velocity, right? So, but what we're talking about here is relative motion. So if they're both stationary, then they won't feel it, right? If I punch my buddy, then it's just the force of my arm. If we're moving 60 miles an hour and I punch him, it's still just the force of my arm. The motion of the car doesn't affect how hard I punch my friend, right? So it doesn't affect the relative motion.
But if you're in a convertible and you throw a ball in the air,
Mm-hmm.
does the ball come right back down when you're going 60 miles an hour, or does it fly behind you?
So that's different. And do you know why?
How's it different? Is the Earth a covered, closed container, or is it like a convertible with no top?
Okay. So the reason that the convertible is different than the closed car, and then I will answer your question. The reason that the convertible is different than the closed car is because the wind, right, the air outside is not moving at the same speed as the car. So when you throw a ball, right, that ball is now affected by the wind above, right? This would be negative motion. So again, that's still relative motion. So if the wind was not blowing, right, but I was driving 60 miles an hour, there is now 60 miles an hour going over my head, right? Okay. So is the Earth open? So the Earth is not, the Earth does not have a lid. The atmosphere does not have a lid. So it is in fact open to space at a pressure gradient.
So very analogous to my convertible example, not analogous to your car example. Now, what you're saying defies the laws of fluid dynamics, okay?
Which law of fluid dynamics? I know a lot of fluid dynamics, so which law?
Great, so if you could chill out 1 second, I'm gonna talk about it. So we go left and right with this paper, okay? All the air above, because air is also included in fluid dynamics, is not also moving left to right with this piece of paper. What happens is it rolls over the top, okay? And all the air at the top of the car is pretty much unaffected. Now, what you're saying is Earth's rotating and all the air is moving with it, which is not fluid dynamics, not analogous to everything we see in nature. Can you demonstrate that or not?
Yes. So same thing with like the ocean, right? Okay, so the difference here, right, is that the atmosphere is part of the Earth system, right, and it is held to the Earth by gravity, right? So the atmosphere is held to the Earth by gravity. So then, I guess I'm not even sure. How is your question? How does the Earth's atmosphere move with the Earth? That's your question. No, what's your question?
I asked if you could demonstrate it. You said yes, and then started talking about magical gravity glue, which never been proven. I want to get to in a minute, whether we're talking about Einsteinian or Newtonian gravity, because neither of those have ever been proven, and they've been falsified by things like terminal velocity.
That's so not true, dude. But let's put the gravity aside for a second. I'm trying to understand what it is you don't understand about behavior of the Earth's atmosphere, like the boundary between the atmosphere and space. Like I don't know where
understand. So okay, I'm trying to get you to demonstrate what you're saying happens. Can you demonstrate all the gas moving with the object spinning the gas or not?
Tornado. Tornado is an object that is spinning gas where everything then also moves together.
Okay, but
hurricanes behave the same way.
What's the cause of a tornado?
The cause of a tornado is of a warm, moist air mass colliding with a cold, dry air mass.
So not the Earth rotating.
No, different thing causing the rotation.
Okay. So what I asked is you to demonstrate one thing spinning, causing all the fluid to move with it, cohesive as one synchronous body. Not a tornado. You can't use hurricanes here.
Okay. So you get a turntable, right? Or like a pottery wheel, right? Okay. So you get it spinning at a constant rate. You put a bowl, right? Yeah. And at first, the water might splat and fill that bowl with water, put it on the rotating pottery wheel. Okay. At first, some of that water is going to splash out, but as that whole body spins up to speed, it will make a parabolic shape and be constant, the whole thing moving at the speed of the table, not at a relative motion.
That's not what happens with a blender.
Cool. That's absolutely what happens with a rotating table.
Okay, but not with a blender. So when a blender spins, okay, so the Earth has topography, it would blend the atmosphere, which is actually what mainstream science teaches, that we have a Coriolis effect. So you right now saying the atmosphere moves as one cohesive body, you're what's called a Coriolis denier. You are denying mainstream science and what mainstream science says. So do you know that?
I'm an atmospheric scientist. I'm not a Coriolis denier. Coriolis force is absolutely real. And as a whole, the atmosphere is moving with planet Earth, and then variations are atmospheric circulation and winds. But we're not here to talk about general atmospheric circulation driven by, we can do that if you want. If you want to talk about thermally driven atmospheric circulation and how the Coriolis force affects that, we absolutely can, but you're completely misunderstanding if you think that what I just said is against mainstream science.
No, it is. You just said Coriolis force is real, and then you said the atmosphere moves with the Earth. Now, those are actually contradicting terms, so I'm going to need
They are not.
Can you stop interrupting me, please? So I'm going to need you to please define what Coriolis is.
Coriolis is a force which acts on a rotating fluid. Easiest way to think about it is if you have a bead, you put it on a bike spoke, you spin the bike spoke, that bead is going to move radially outwards from the center of the bike spoke. So what happens for Earth system, right, is here in the northern hemisphere where I live, the Coriolis force causes air to move, it's to the right of its own motion, right? And this happens, again, something has to be about 1,000 kilometers across to notice the Coriolis, to notice Earth's rotation. You also have to be north of about 10 degrees latitude because Coriolis increases from 0 at the equator to its maximum at the North Pole, with the beta plane approximation being a maximum at the equator and goes to 0 at the pole. But that's important for weather forecasting, not so much for what we're talking about. It's kind of in the details. So that is why hurricanes, Northern Hemisphere hurricanes, are always going to rotate in a counterclockwise direction. Southern Hemisphere hurricanes always rotate in a clockwise direction. Tornadoes, however, because they are much smaller, can rotate either clockwise or counterclockwise.
Are you done?
Answered your question?
No, you didn't at all. So you said it's a force that affects rotating bodies, and then you use the beads. Please don't interrupt me. I know you want to talk. Okay, I can see your mouth like start to open and then you close it. Like just chill. You're gonna get to talk when I'm done talking. Maybe get a pen and then take some notes so that while I'm talking, you can respond after. That would be the polite thing to do. So instead of force that acts on rotating bodies, okay, cool story, but very vague. Then you went on to describe not Coriolis, but centrifugal force, ladies and gentlemen. This lady who claims to be studying her PhD said the beads, when you spin the wheel, the beads going outward is example of Coriolis. No, it's not at all whatsoever. That's evidence of centrifugal force. You don't even know your forces. I'm sorry, I don't think you're qualified for this debate. How many times have you tested Earth yourself, and where, and with what equipment?
Okay, so first, if I misspoke and did centrifugal, then I misspoke.
No, you still got it wrong. It's centrifugal, not centrifugal, okay? Centrifugal. You're talking about two different forces. You still haven't got it right, okay? Just so you know.
We're now going to give Maddie a chance to talk.
Yeah.
Okay. So one, Coriolis is not something which affects rotating bodies. It's a force which affects objects that are on rotating bodies. Important difference there.
What objects does it affect?
Nathan, I do want to give her a chance to respond to all the points that you had made.
She'd be a little specific. She's super vague, James. I'm trying to get her. What objects?
So right, but there were points where, for example, when she asked you what law of thermodynamics, like, so my idea here is let's just give her a chance to respond to all the points you had made. I promise we'll give you a chance to ask that question that you have right now.
Okay. So, as I said when I was explaining hurricanes versus tornadoes, Coriolis is going to affect objects on rotating bodies that are of a similar size. You can do scale analysis there to determine what the appropriate size is for the strength of the Coriolis. So of a similar size to the body that is rotating. So that's, again, this idea of what you feel when you're doing donuts versus if you were driving around Utah. So then I would like to get to your second question, which was, what have I personally done to test that the Earth is a globe, right? I have personally shot a laser at the moon. That was very fun. That's not going to work. One, that wouldn't work at all if we hadn't been to the moon, if the Earth wasn't a globe, if we didn't understand these things, because we shot a laser at the moon, hit a mirror that was left there by the Apollo missions, and it bounced back. It was very cool. That was with NASA Goddard. So I've done that. Two, while hurricanes are not my specific field of research, hurricanes would not form if the Earth wasn't rotating. Everything that I know about weather doesn't work if the Earth isn't rotating. So if the Earth wasn't rotating, the Great Arctic Cyclone of 2012 would not have negatively impacted the September sea ice extent from that year. because we wouldn't have had a TPV, trophos polar vortex, which are only going to form because of the strength of the Coriolis over the pole. So I guess my short answer to your question is, what have I personally done to test that the Earth is round? Literally my entire academic career depends on that being true, or else we couldn't forecast the weather, or else we couldn't, tropos polar vortices wouldn't exist. And that's a field of my research. So if the Earth wasn't rotated, if the Earth wasn't a sphere, these things wouldn't be true. So Nathan, I do have a question for you.
No, I got to respond to all that. You talked for like 3 minutes, okay? And then you can ask your question. So write the question down, please. James, can I respond?
I think if you had a question earlier, Nathan, I do want to give Nathan a chance to ask that because I think he had a clarifying question that I rejected earlier. So I'll at least give you that, Nathan.
I asked how she tested Earth. She said, I pinged the moon, which doesn't prove the floor curves at all. Also, just so you know, you said you hit the mirrors that NASA left there when they were doing donuts in the rover 60 years ago, but can't go back and talk to the president with a turn dial telephone. What a joke. But the problem with that is they pinged the moon in the early 60s before the mirror was up there. Did you know that?
I do know that. What we measured specifically was the time it took to get there and come back. So you can't get that reflection, the precision without a mirror. So you can hit the moon with a laser without a mirror. You can't get a signal back without a mirror.
Yeah, but you assume the medium that it's traveling through. You don't know the speed of light, and you don't know the medium that it's traveling through either. You assume it.
You want to go with, I don't know the speed of light.
Yeah, well, it's a rate of induction. There is no speed of light. It's assumed. You don't have a medium in like as powerful as the vacuum of space to test light and confirm. So it's all based on assumptions. Now, on top of that, that was your first point. Then you said your second, testing Earth and proving it's a globe, was everything you know about hurricanes wouldn't work on a flat Earth. Now, I have to ask you this. Mm-hmm. Do you know what an electromagnetic wake is? And if you do, what is it?
An electromagnetic wake. I am going to go ahead and let you explain what that is.
So you don't know what it is. So of course you don't understand how hurricanes, it's not in your textbook. They're not teaching you how they actually work. So of course you're going to say, well, I don't have to test Earth. They just ping time the moon. And then I know a lot about weather because I read a lot of books, but you don't even know what an electromagnetic wake is, Maddie.
So why don't you tell me what an electromagnetic wake is?
What? Okay, why don't we talk later? Because I got a lot of other things to cover. Like, for example, you said it has to be true or we couldn't forecast. Do you know the forecast is wrong like 50% of the time? I travel around full time.
Do you have some data for that?
I travel around full time looking at the forecast, and trust me, they're not always right. Are you going to say they're always right with the forecast?
I'm not going to say they're always right. I'm saying
okay, great. So they're wrong. So basically you're saying if we didn't know the Earth was a globe, we wouldn't be able to get the forecast wrong sometimes. Like, that's your argument. This is a joke, guys. Maddie, where have you tested Earth and found it curving in all directions?
So I'm going to go back to the point you said earlier, which was you asked me, did I know that the forecasts are wrong? So let's take hurricane trajectories. That's a good one. We, by we, I mean the National Weather Service, forecasts the location of a hurricane 3 to 5 days out with about 90% accuracy. So do you want to go with that that's incorrect? If we look at
90% accuracy, so you're saying that they're wrong sometimes.
Everything is wrong.
Wow, this
sometimes.
completely ruins your whole argument.
90% of the time.
Which is okay, Maddie.
Hold on. I do want to. Nathan, hold on one second. If you do ask her a question in terms of like,
I didn't ask
whether or not
question.
they're wrong.
She's talking to herself.
No, you did ask something to the effect of, so they are wrong sometimes. I do want to give her a chance to respond.
They are wrong. She just said they are.
Yeah, she conceded 10% of the time, and so you had brought up that they are wrong that 10% of the time as a response to her pointing out the 90%, and so I want to give her a chance to respond to that.
And if you look overall at just general weather forecasting, numerical weather models have an accuracy of, I think it's in the 70s for a 7-day forecast. If you look at how that's improved over the last few decades, so a great example would be the recent snowfall in Texas that was forecasted 7 days out that the snowfall was going to happen. So everything has errors, right? Everything has errors. Nothing is perfect, especially when we're predicting the future, right? But weather forecasting is incredibly good. And it wouldn't be if the Earth wasn't a rotating sphere.
Everything has errors. What about the eclipses? Can we predict the eclipses or no?
So forecasting eclipses is not my field, but knowing when a lunar eclipse is going to happen, we do know that long time in advance.
Oh, okay, but are they wrong or are they right? You said you can't predict everything perfectly. But are
If
they
you
wrong?
want to talk,
Because they actually use the Soros cycle, which was way predates the globe model. Are you familiar with the Soros cycle?
if you want to talk about the differences in orbital mechanics versus fluid mechanics and why those are fundamentally different, we totally can.
Why can't you just answer a question? I asked you if you knew what the Soros cycle is. The answer is yes.
Let's give her a chance.
I know
Like
what it
Nathan,
is.
what you can do is
I don't know what it is.
Nathan, what I'm okay with is after she finished, if you want to say that and you want to say, hey, I did ask a question earlier and you still haven't answered it, you only said this, that's okay. But I do want to give her a chance to respond because there is some interrupting here.
So again, if you want to talk about the difference between forecasting an eclipse versus forecasting the weather, I'm all to do that, but those are very different. In terms of your exact question of what a Soros cycle is, I don't know that term off the top of my head.
Yeah. Okay, well, it's how we predict eclipses, and they are accurate all the time, just so you know. Like, they've never predicted an eclipse and then had them be wrong when the prediction is, just so you know. Now, I have a question. Are sun rays parallel or are they not parallel?
Parallel to what surface?
Parallel to each other. Are sun rays parallel to each other? Do they come down?
Sun rays. Oh, excuse me. Sorry, I heard rise.
It's all good. Are sun rays parallel?
So sun rays are going to, the rays of the sun are, they're propagating radially outward. So very locally, they will appear, like for what you and I can see, they will look parallel, but they're not strictly parallel.
So they are parallel, but they're not parallel.
What I said was locally, they're going to appear to be straight. But if we think about this from the size of the Earth, sun rays are emitted radially outwards from the sun constantly. So there is an angle.
Do you know what corpuscular rays are?
Corpuscular rays, not off the top of my head. What are corpuscular rays?
Those are the rays that we get from the sun. They're not parallel. They're all converging to one point. You just said they were parallel locally, and that's what we observe, but it's not what we observe. We observe crepuscular rays. Do you know how you create crepuscular rays or duplicate them?
No.
There's 3 constituent parts you need.
Okay.
You need a localized light source. You need obstruction, such as the clouds, and you would need some sort of particulates in the air, like water vapor, aqueous particles, dust, that sort of thing. So you can't duplicate crepuscular rays with a sun that's 93 million miles bigger than the Earth, 93 million miles away and bigger than the Earth, just so you know. You need a small localized light.
Okay. I would really, I'd really like to focus on like things that are my field, right? So I'd like to stick to the atmosphere. If you want to talk.
This is all my field. Okay, the atmosphere. Can you have gas pressure without a container?
Yes.
Can you demonstrate that?
Planet Earth.
That's the thing you're trying to prove. So you're using circular logic. It's a fallacy. Do you know what circular logic is?
I do know what circular logic is.
Okay,
but the
so
point,
other than what you believe Earth is, can you demonstrate gas pressure?
I know what circular logic is, but the point is that planetary scale processes are only going to happen on a planetary scale.
So it only happens first.
So I can point to Jupiter, I can point to Venus, I can point to Earth, right? And we can chat about the weight of the air above us, right? But so I actually got a question for you. So
wait, we can't just breeze by that, okay? Can you
demonstrate? It is fair, Nathan.
It's related.
It is fair that she gets to ask
pressure.
you questions as well, right?
It's related
she
to
wants to
atmospheric
ask me a
pressure.
question. Is it related to gas pressure not requiring the container?
We can come back to this.
Right.
We're still talking about that. Okay. So if we have gas in a pressurized container, right? Talk to me about the density of the gas throughout that container. Is it constant? Does it change?
Yeah, but it's in a container. Without the container, you wouldn't have any pressure.
But what about the density of the gas? Is it a constant?
It's not analogous to your Earth you believe in because you're using a container. You realize that, right?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay,
but
so
my question
gas
is,
pressure requires a container?
My question is the density of the gas in that closed container a constant?
Well, that depends. Is it not if it's inhomogeneous and anisotropic, such as like introducing a heat source? Like you do realize we have a sun and a moon above our heads, right? Okay, so if the
yes.
sun's heating up the earth and then the hot air rises and then the cold air moves in, so it's constantly mixing around all the time, yes, you would have what's called oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to be talking while you were interrupting me. Go ahead.
So great. Temperature, density is affected by temperature. Excellent. So is the Earth, is our atmosphere heated from the top or from the bottom? Sun, moon.
The top or the bottom? I don't know. I don't know for sure. I don't know. I make assumptions of what the sun is. I have a theory that the sun might actually be cold and that the heat comes from the Earth. So that's one of my theories. Now, they actually tell us in mainstream science that the Earth is hotter than the surface of the sun. Now, they want you to believe what's under your floor is hotter than the surface of the sun. And every night you go to bed and wake up, put your shoes on, and that heat doesn't radiate outwards, violating the second law of thermodynamics. Because if you put your hand on a hot stove, it will burn you 100 out of 100 times. If you put gas in a vacuum, the gas will disperse omnidirectionally in all directions every single time. Now, this person I'm debating will tell you, yeah, that's true, except with planets. Except if you talk about Jupiter, because that's definitely a ball of space in a vacuum. No, it's not. It's a firmament light source. So it's locked in the firmament. The word planet means wandering stars. All the stars are fixed and rotating. The planets move independently of the rotating star plane. And Maddie, I mean, you really haven't even tested Earth. I asked, when you've tested Earth and proven it's a globe, you said ping times, you pinged the moon, which they did prior to the mirrors. And then you said everything you know about hurricanes. I mean, I'm sorry, but that is not testing Earth. You are not a real researcher. You're a bookworm.
Okay, so we were talking about whether the Earth was heated, that the atmosphere is heated. It is true. So the sun comes in and it comes through the atmosphere, heats the Earth, and then the Earth heats the lowest layer of the atmosphere.
No, that's not what we were talking about. I was talking about how space is fake, gas pressures require a container. You're going on and on about the differences of gas pressure inside of a container. So you pretty much just like whistle past the graveyard because I destroyed your entire model. And now you're asking me how it works in a container.
I'm not asking how it works in a container. What I'm trying to get at, Nathan, what I'm trying to get at here is that the density of our atmosphere is greatest at the surface overall, and it decreases as you go up through the atmosphere, right?
Wow.
Do you agree with that?
Wow, we have a density gradient. Are you serious? So we have gas pressure around us that we breathe. Did you know the necessary antecedent for gas pressure is a closed container?
Okay, the other thing that you said, is that warmer air leads to lower density, right?
I didn't say that. Okay, you said that. It doesn't really relate to
want to let Nathan. We do have to let Maddie finish.
Doesn't relate to the shape of the Earth. Has nothing to do with the shape of the Earth.
Listen, Nathan, we do have to let Maddie have more than just a few words.
Okay, go ahead, Maddie. Continue on. This is good. Not.
So what I'm trying to talk about is, so you said, I asked you about the density. If we have something in a closed container, that the way to affect the density of the gas in that closed container is by increasing the temperature. So where we have the warmest temperature, we're going to have the lowest density. That's ideal gas law, right? But here on planet Earth, we have the warmest temperatures at the surface, which is also where we have the highest density of air. So in this example, right, where the only thing, in your view, the only thing that keeps Earth's air down, that keeps us having air pressure, is some sort of lid, how do you get that density gradient that we observe? That's my question.
Hydrogen, helium, lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine, neon. So they all have different anatomical weights. So obviously they separate out based on their density to one another.
However, that's not what's observed, because if you measure the relative concentration of, say, nitrogen and oxygen here,
I already told you it's all getting mixed
Nathan,
up. It's
I
in
told you,
The
you have to
relative-
let Nathan.
I
You
already
do have
told
to
her.
let her finish.
I already told her it's all getting mixed
listen,
up.
Nathan.
I already told
Then
her why. I
afterwards,
told her
what you
why
can
too,
do-
and then she went spiraling off.
Nathan, this reminds me of November. So what we can do is, if you want, afterwards, you can definitely say, hey, I've already addressed that point, and you're repeating the same point. But you have to let people finish, Nathan.
So what you said is that the density is caused by like different gases separating out. But if we measure the relative concentration, the partial pressures of like nitrogen and oxygen and water vapor, it's the same relative concentrations here as it is on the top of Mount Everest. So it's the same mixture, but temperature is different, and we have the highest density here at the surface. So how does that happen?
Okay, what you're not understanding is that you haven't proven Earth curve. You haven't proven Earth rotates. You haven't proven space is real because it violates the second law of thermodynamics. And now you're asking me, when you go to the top of Mount Everest, the air is really similar to the air on the ground. Okay, Maddie, listen, let's be really clear. If we're not going to talk about Earth curving, Earth rotating, or your fake fairy tale space, okay, and how it violates the second law of thermodynamics, I'm not here to have a conversation about air on Everest that you have never tested and I have never tested. You've never tested it. You just read it in a textbook somewhere, believe that crap, and now you're spewing it like it's true on modern day debate. Everything I talk about, star trails, cold moonlight, long distance side observations, I've tested. They pinged the moon before the mirrors were up there. So whatever you did wasn't proof of anything. And then you went on to say, I understand hurricanes. And you don't even know what electromagnetic wakes are. So we're going to get right back to it. We're going to get right back to it. Does the Earth rotate under objects that you throw in the air? Yes or no?
Not noticeably.
So no, we don't notice Earth rotate under objects. Did you know Neil deGrasse Tyson said on his Twitter, the Earth rotated under a field goal during the Super Bowl? Did you know that? So according to Neil deGrasse Tyson, who's the most famous PhD astrophysicist in the world, you're over here saying he's wrong. He doesn't know what he's talking about. I think you're wrong. You don't know what you're talking about. You've got to go test Earth because there is no Coriolis. You know there's no Coriolis. You know Earth doesn't rotate under objects that are thrown in the air. You just admitted it. You said, no, we don't observe Earth rotating under objects. You are a Coriolis denier. Congratulations. Me too. I don't think Earth has a Coriolis. We can be Coriolis deniers together. Okay, so let's move on to Earth curve. Do you have any?
Want to give Maddie a chance to respond to those points?
I'm going to address your points. So one, you made a claim that I haven't tested things on Mount Everest. I've looked at the weather balloon data actively. Without actually physically going to Everest, weather balloon data is the closest you can get.
So someone gave you weather balloon data and you read it and believed it, and you think that's science? You think that's being a real scientist? You think that's testing Earth yourself? Reading data someone else collected? How do you know they gave you the right data?
So the second point you made.
This is a joke.
The second point you made was that I said that the Earth doesn't rotate under objects when you throw it up. What I very specifically said was not noticeably, because for it to be noticeable, as I said, even in my opening statement, the object needs to be about 1,000 kilometers across, or you got to wait a long time, probably about half a day. I don't have time to wait for that. I'm not strong enough to throw something 1,000 kilometers across up in the air, and I'm not strong enough to throw something up in the air long enough that the Earth can noticeably rotate underneath that.
So do you know how big a ring laser gyro is?
A ring laser gyro. So help me out, man. Which one are you talking about? Give me some specs.
Okay, are any ring laser gyros in the world 100 kilometers wide?
1,000 kilometers is
sure, 1,000. I was going to go with 100. Are any of them 10 kilometers
I'm sorry.
wide?
Nathan,
Are any of them 1
Nathan,
kilometer
we got to give Maddie more than just one or two words. That way we have roughly the same amount of time being used by each of you.
So I also said that it has to be very big, or you have to wait a long time. So a laser gyroscope can absolutely measure Earth's rotation. The same thing, the simple pendulum experiment can measure Earth's rotation, right?
Okay, how
you
long?
have to wait.
How long do you have to wait for Earth to rotate under you?
I mean, a while, order of magnitude hours.
Hours? Great. So when a hot air balloon goes up for a few hours, does the Earth rotate under the hot air balloon?
Yes, there are also the local forces of winds, which are going to be more noticeable. Two things can happen at the same time.
So your
Hold on.
argument,
Nathan, just to be sure, I do want to give Maddie enough time to answer these questions. It's oftentimes it's not as simple as like a yes or no. We got to give Maddie a shot to give more than just one or several words.
It is that simple.
It's not, dude. It's really not.
Yeah, it is.
Hot air balloon goes up.
Yeah.
Earth is rotating under it, and 50-knot winds are hitting it. Which do you think is going to be more noticeable?
What if there's no wind? Does the Earth rotate under the hot air balloon or not?
In a fictional scenario where there is absolutely no atmospheric motion, yes.
There's no wind outside right now. What are you talking about? You honestly believe that there's always wind at all times?
Yes.
Okay, so in a fictional scenario with no wind or very low wind, does the Earth move under a hot air balloon, Maddie? Yes or no?
Yes.
Oh, it does. That's interesting because every hot air balloon I've observed, or time lapses of hot air balloons I've observed, the Earth is not rotating under the hot air balloon.
Do you know why winds aloft are much stronger than surface winds?
So you're going back to wind.
We have not stopped talking about wind.
No. I said in a fictional scenario with no wind, and then you went back to talking about wind. How pathetic.
And then you said you've never observed a hot air balloon to have the Earth rotate underneath it. To get to that scenario, dude, we had to assume no wind, right? There is never no wind aloft. There is never no wind.
Okay, what about an insect that hovers 3 inches off the ground inside of a house with no wind? Does the Earth rotate under a bumblebee inside of a house with no wind?
That's such a nonsensical
Nathan, let her respond.
She can't even respond. She didn't even answer the question.
The reason that's a nonsensical question.
Oh, so an insect inside of a house.
I just told you we're going to give her a chance to respond.
The reason that's a nonsensical question is because in this scenario, right, what you need is for, say, the bee to hover, right? And that's not hover in the same spot relative to the floor. That's in the same spot relative, like, to its relative position on Earth, right? So he has to hover here. Bees can't do that, right? Neither can hummingbirds, not for long enough for the Earth's rotation to sort of, for you to notice. And what you would notice would be very small. So what you can do is hang a pendulum, which will be still and will hover. And that you can absolutely trace out the Earth's rotation. It's an elementary school science experiment. But if you want an animal to do it, that's nonsensical. You're muted, dude.
What about a drone? Would the Earth rotate under a drone if you had it flying in the air for a few hours?
Once again, it's going to be affected by winds, but yes.
What if it's in a building? Does the Earth rotate under a drone in a building?
Yes, you're not going to notice it though.
Oh, yes, but you won't notice it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here first. Yes, it will happen, but you won't notice it. So it's happening, but you just can't tell it's happening. Make sense?
Again, replace the drone with a pendulum, and then you'll be able to see.
No, it's not just a pendulum, okay? You can't just have one thing Earth rotates under that you keep going back to. And if the Earth doesn't rotate under everything, it doesn't rotate under a pendulum. You got it?
Do you know why the pendulum is special? Like, why do we use a pendulum and not a drone to do this experiment? Why do we do that?
It's not an experiment.
Sure it is. Why would we do that?
No, it's not. Experiments start with an observation in nature. So it's not an experiment. You don't have pendulums in nature you're just randomly coming across. You know that, right?
Is your question, do I know that we do not come across pendulums hanging in nature? Or is your question, do I know what an experiment is?
Does an experiment require a naturally occurring phenomenon?
No.
No? Okay, what's the first step of an experiment?
the first step of an experiment would be you have a hypothesis and you devise a way to test your hypothesis.
You just make up hypotheses and then you do experiments. That's what you do. Did you know the first step?
That's what I do all day, every day.
Okay, did you know the first step of a real experiment is actually make an observation?
Define observation.
Observing something in nature, not make a hypothesis in your mind and conjure up things in your mind.
Right.
You don't even know what the scientific method is, Maddie.
I observe that all hurricanes in the northern hemisphere rotate counterclockwise.
Yeah, because you don't even know what an electromagnetic wake is, and then you ask me to tell you what it is.
Can you explain?
You keep asking me. I'm not your professor. Okay, I'm here to debate you. You were supposed to submit evidence. Earth's spinning tilted globe, and I was supposed to show you. No, it's wrong. So far, you have not presented any evidence of Earth curve. You've contradicted yourself over and over on Earth rotation, and then you talk about gas requiring a container when that destroys your entire heliocentric model.
So I never.
Maddie, this is bad. You go to
Hold on,
question
Nathan. I want to give Maddie a chance to respond to those points, and let's see. Yeah, we're getting close to it, but I do want to give Maddie a chance to respond. Right. And I do also want to give Maddie a chance. If you have any questions, Maddie, I want to give you a chance to ask those as well.
Okay, so few things you said I've claimed that I have not, so I just want to make sure that that's clear. You do not need a lid for the Earth to have atmospheric pressure, right? We have atmospheric pressure and we have the density gradient that we observe because of the fall off by 1 over distance squared of gravity, right? So gravity is stronger at the surface, we hold more things, weakens as you go away, density decreases. It's a very simple relationship. And that force of gravity is in fact much stronger than the density gradient you get from heating. 2, you said I don't know what the scientific method is, or I don't know a lot of these other things. I have a deeper understanding of the scientific method than what's taught in 4th grade, right? So you can quote a textbook at me, you can quote what we teach children about how science works, and that is all well and good, but you're definitely misrepresenting points, and you're misrepresenting how the scientific method works. 2, all of the points I've brought up regarding behavior of Earth's atmosphere, Coriolis, which absolutely is a real thing, and behavior of hurricanes, behavior of density, behavior of atmospheric density and atmospheric pressure and things, and concentrations. These are all things that are perfectly and easily explained. These observations, right, make perfect sense with a globe Earth held together by gravity, where the atmosphere is held down by gravity. And they don't make sense, to my knowledge, of how a flat Earth would work. So if you can't demonstrate how a flat Earth would explain observed phenomena, differences in density gradients, atmospheric phenomena, things like that, then there's no value to your model, right? So if it can't make predictive power, which globe model can, again, that's how weather forecasts work, and lots of other things. I'm just most familiar with weather. So I think that's going to be my point. If you haven't been able to address any of the issues I've brought up with something flat Earth would need to be able to explain if it were true, right? You haven't been able to do that, and in every instance you've responded not so much to my points, but by changing the topic and by becoming incredulous, which I think is a good debate tactic, but it's not the best for like honest conversation. And so that I'm okay to go into question time, and unless James, unless Nathan would like to respond.
Sounds like we're ready to go into question time. I want to let you know, folks, we appreciate you hanging here, whether or not you are flat Earth, globe Earth, you name it, and want to let you know our guests are linked in the description. If you want to hear more, and that includes if you were listening to us via podcast, want to let you know our guest links are in the description of the podcast as well. We really do appreciate you hanging out with us, like I said, no matter what walk of life you are from. And with that, we will be going into the Q&A. And so thanks so much. This first question, let me just, coming in from.
Hey, James.
Yeah.
We're going to skip all the rude questions because I got better things to do, okay?
Yeah, we do want to remind you out there, folks, that we would like to ask you to attack the arguments rather than the people, and that includes Maddie as well, and even Nathan. So basically, kidding, Nathan. We are going to jump into this with our first question. This one coming in from, do appreciate it. Oh gosh, sorry guys, I'm having trouble. I've got boomer tech problems over here. 2 seconds. Thanks for your question. Kango24 says, lights in the sky change color sometimes, quote unquote. Nathan Thompson, science communicator. Science, is this one of your claims, Nathan, that lights in the sky change color sometimes? And in particular, can you remind me what the context of this is?
Yeah, because Globers say, well, how does flat Earth explain a lunar eclipse? Well, guys, your heliocentric high priest call it the impossible eclipse. They have a selenelion eclipse where the lunar eclipse is observed to a single observer above the horizon while the sun is still can be seen to the single observer. They call it the impossible eclipse. So really, guys, how do lunar eclipses work on the globe model? So I just say, yeah, lights in the sky, they change color sometimes. Big deal. If the floor is flat, you can test it. So quit asking us how the sky works. When the floor is flat, you can test it.
Gotcha. This one coming in from Sigma Any says, Nathan, why is the arc to chord correction required to yield an accurate closed planar traverse from precise spatial measurements? Why do the basic computations otherwise fail without it?
Yeah, you sound smart to dumb people, but the thing is, they've been celestial navigating with the sky for thousands of years. That's how they do it. Unless they're using GPS, which is ground positioning system. They've got 6 million towers, 600,000 in the US. Then they use temporary helium balloons. And they also use modified U-2 spy planes and fiber optic submarine communication cables to move around all the data.
Gotcha. Robert Greenlee says, why is Nathan afraid to debate me as I'm an actual pilot? And they said, I've offered many times to debate him, but he asked for, let's see, an honorarium. Nathan, do you want to debate Robert Greenlee?
I don't debate every loser who has a job, who emails me 100 times a week.
To be fair, we the same thing. We want to ask, same thing as we have asked the guest to not attack the person we want to ask. I think we're starting to, there's a lot of rules in flux right now in terms of we're thinking about changing to, you could say, straighten things up. And so I want to let you know about that. Flat Earth News says, here to support Nathan. You got a fan out there, Nathan? And Flat Earth News says, does Maddie plan on proving any experiment or demonstration for what goes on at the top of the atmosphere, or is she just going to claim this?
I guess that's for me. So for what goes on, sorry, I'm not quite sure what the question is specifically asking.
You bet. I can read it again. I think that my connection was ebbing and flowing there. So they had asked, Flat Earth News says, does Maddie plan on proving any experiment or demonstration for what goes on at the top of the atmosphere, or is she just going to claim regarding what's going on at the top of the atmosphere?
I think that is referring to that there is not like a top, right, to the atmosphere. So, I mean, I can demonstrate that with a little math and some chalkboard and a chalkboard. It's the 1 over distance squared law of gravity is my short answer to that, because we're into question time.
Gotcha. And Isaiah 40:22 says, Maddie, where's the scientific experiment that a vacuum can exist next to a pressurized atmosphere without a solid physical barrier separating them?
Oh, okay, yeah. So this is really just a density gradient, right? So even when we're talking about vacuum, like in our solar system, there's still some particles and atoms floating around. So what we have, there's no like solid boundary between where our atmosphere ends and where space begins. It's very much a gradient. The overwhelming majority of the mass of the atmosphere is down here in the troposphere where we live and breathe. So think of it very much as we go from, it decreases to zero, right? It's a nice, happy, gentle transitional gradient from here on Earth's surface, where we have like 1,000 hectopascal pressure, to, approximately zero, where it becomes space. So yeah, it's just the density gradient, and again, it's the 1/distance squared law for gravity.
Gotcha, and thanks very much for your question. From Kango24 says, Nathan, sometimes your explanations are a bit technical. Could you please put your answer for lunar eclipses, which was, quote, lights in the sky change color sometimes, into layman terms for me?
Yeah, they've been predicting them using the Soros cycle for 1,000 years. NASA admits they use the Soros cycle on their website. So there you go. That's how they predict the eclipses. It's actually light polarization, Bell's theorem. Look up Bell's theorem. You add a third polarization and it gets brighter, which is weird because when you polarize the object at first, it gets darker. So check it out. Pretty interesting. Also, eclipses are glowing red and purple, not black. Shadows are black, guys. The moon's light is cold. It's not reflecting sunlight. You can test it with a $30 laser thermometer. Super simple. Super simple.
Next up, this one coming in from Chris Gammon says, for both speakers, if I had a jet with super speed and endless fuel and I pointed it at the sunset and flew directly towards it, if I could go fast enough, I wouldn't see the sunset, right? Proves globe. No?
No.
That's true.
Well, the FAA trains pilots on the target generation facility, so every airplane pilot is trained to fly on a flat, non-rotating Earth, and in the software, they actually negate a gravity vector. So, yeah, you'd cruise it to cruising altitude, you'd fly level, chase the sun, and you actually can do that in a Blackbird or some of the faster planes because they go faster than the speed the sun travels. Or in your guys' religion, how fast a floor is moving, 1,000 miles an hour.
Oh my gosh. Okay, Isaiah 40:22 says, Maddie, why doesn't the merry-go-round suck the ant to the center of the mass?
Good
Yeah.
point.
No, it's the same scale analysis. So the ant is small enough that it's not really affected by the rotation.
Gotcha. Thanks very much. And then thanks very much for your question. This one coming in from Jordan Smith says, how's Austin? Let's see. Next up, I don't want to get involved in that. Next up, Chris Gammon says, let's see, never debate and drive, Nathan. And then next up, there's a joke. Just relax. Okay. Kango24 says, Nathan, you have been proven to be wrong dozens of times, but you still make the same arguments. And Nathan, agree or disagree?
No, I debunked the globe like 7 times on this Clown World Tour, guys. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. No one's proved me wrong. Definitely not Maddie, who says she proved Earth's curve with ping times from the moon.
Next up, we got to give Maddie a chance to respond since you're bringing Maddie up.
Give me a break.
Do you have a response, Maddie?
Nope.
Gotcha. Sleepy Dan, thanks for your question. Says once you go flat, you never go back. Quote unquote, is easily proven false, like all flat Earth claims. There are many ex-flat earthers. Like seek truth, speak truth. Nathan?
Yeah, no such thing. I mean, whatever. Nobody goes back to believing in Santa Claus. Nobody goes back to believing cartoon tilted Earths are real because a bunch of liars on wires and fools in pools told us that is true. Like, give me a break, dude.
Next up, question the answers says the lines are being drawn. Every knee shall bow, steadfast, beloved. The truth defends itself, all for God's glory. Those who seek truth find it simple.
Okay.
I do want to, I can't remember who brought it up because he had asked a lot of questions before, but let me just jump. Amy Newman, thanks for your super chat. Said, after show at my channel, for Nathan, can't someone just break drone laws or buy a rocket in order to collect evidence for the Earth not being round? And by the way, Amy has an after show that is linked in the description, and that's right next to our guest links, so I encourage you to check that out. Go ahead, Nathan.
What?
Why are for Nathan? Can't someone just break drone laws or buy a rocket to collect evidence for the Earth not being round?
Rocket launches are parabolic. All drone footage show a flat, level horizon, and that's a Snoop Dogg fallacy where you think you got to get high and go up there to prove where you live. We walk around on the floor all day long. You don't need to get high to prove the Earth is not a globe, because if it's a globe, it would curve in all directions. According to the dimensions they gave us, 0.666 feet per mile squared in all directions. I mean, have you guys heard this a million times yet? What are we doing? What are we doing right now?
Gotcha. Thanks for your question. This one coming in from Magellan says, all of these things have been explained, let's see, to Nathan thousands of times. He just refuses to engage. Nathan, agree or disagree?
Cool story.
Next up, Flat Earth News says globe myth believers have the best stories. Okay, well, let's see. Tim Pryor says historian Jeffrey Russell claims, with extraordinarily few exceptions, no educated person in the history of Western civilization from the 3rd century BC onward believed that the Earth was flat. Nathan, you are wrong again.
B word, believe. He thinks the floor is a belief. Like you have to believe what the floor is. How stupid is that? Wow.
King024 says, Nathan, you literally know nothing about fluid dynamics. Please stop saying fluid dynamics. Oh, and gravitational waves have been detected by LIGO.
LIGOS is just a giant Sagnac interferometer. Sagnac himself, who invented the technology, said it just detects the rotating ether. So
Gotcha.
Not gravitational waves, the ether.
Next up, thanks, Brian Cornell, for your question. Said, our supposed orbit around the sound is an elliptical orbit. An elliptical orbit would mean there is no acceleration. How do we not feel this?
That's for Maddie.
I can read that again, Maddie.
One more time.
It's a mouthful. They said our supposed orbit around the sun is an elliptical orbit. An elliptical orbit would mean there is an acceleration, like as it orbits. How do we not feel this acceleration?
Okay. I mean, it's the same that it would be if it was circular, right? There is like, so it's because it's, so we're moving, say, this way, and then our orbit, so the tug of the sun's gravity pulls us this way. So it's directional acceleration, right? Even if we're moving at a relatively constant rate, the direction changes, so you get acceleration because of that, which is why he's bringing that up. And that happens in an ellipse or a circle.
Gotcha.
So why do we not feel that? Honestly, it's just because it's minuscule.
Gotcha. And thank you very much for your question. This one coming from King024 says, Nathan, how, after all of these debates, do you not know what the Coriolis force is?
I know exactly what it is. Neil Tyson says it's Earth rotating under a field goal, but she just said Earth doesn't rotate under things. Well, it does, but we just can't observe it. It's too minuscule. That's her answer for everything. It was literally her answer 10 seconds ago. Like, wow. Imagine like thinking all this stuff's happening, but you can't see it, can't feel it, can't measure it, don't notice it. That's ridiculous.
Want to give Maddie a chance to respond since you invoked her name. You summoned Maddie. Go ahead, Maddie.
So we absolutely can observe and measure those things if we're being conscious and thinking about what we choose to measure. The northward extent of the Hadley cell is a great proof of Coriolis. And the fact that we have evidence of that is deserts surrounding the Earth at between 20 and 30 degrees north. There's a constant desert band there. That's the descending leg of the Hadley cell. The Hadley cell only stretches that far north because of the Coriolis. Also, again, hurricane, direction of rotation. Those two things are great things we can point to that demonstrate Coriolis, that even demonstrate the rotating Earth. You just have to know what to look for.
Gotcha. And thank you very much for your question. Flat Earth News says, atmosphere, let's see, they said, Maddie, with no experiment or demonstration, question mark. And so I think they're asking for like personal experiments that you personally have done.
Sure. Yeah. So weather field campaign. Spent 2 weeks a couple summers ago chasing tornadoes, launching weather balloons, radar, all that fun stuff. So when I was specifically talking about density and of the atmosphere and winds, I mentioned weather balloons. So those are absolutely things I have launched myself. And that's absolutely data that you get. So that's going to be my short answer to that.
Thank you very much. And let's see. YouTube says, if heaven is going to be full of people like Nathan, let's see. All right. Then I don't want to be there. But Magellan says, Maddie, you are doing awesome. Have patience. Never has the difference between real and perceived intelligence been so massive in one human being. Next up, you called Maddie a bookworm, Nathan. To be fair, you can take a little poop being thrown at you. Question the answer says, Maddie, why doesn't GPS work in the southern hemisphere?
Doesn't GPS work in the southern hemisphere? Yeah, I'm confused by the question. GPS works just fine in the southern hemisphere.
Maddie, why doesn't GPS work in the southern hemisphere? Yeah, that's what it says. I don't understand it myself, but we'll go to the next one. And Kango24.
Okay.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say I can point to some great examples. I'm gonna keep pointing to weather stations, but you can go to the University of Wyoming's website. They've got Raywin-Sond, the data that is free and available to the public. Anybody can look at it, and that should include ones from Antarctic stations, and those are tracked with GPS as they go up into the. So you track their lat-long position with GPS,
Gotcha.
And those are launched year-round. And again, that information is free and available to the public.
Appreciate it. And this one coming in from, let's see, Dave Dahlia Fior says, James, we love you even on a flat earth. Thank you. That's kind of you. And Kango, I'm confused by it, but Kango24 says, Nathan says, moderator, please, moderator. Okay. Next up, Nathan, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Next, Thy Messenger says, Maddie, how can you believe NASA and their goofy astronauts caught on wire harnesses? Are you a NASA shill, like Fight the Flat Earth?
So I'm not a NASA shill, certainly not. I mean, full disclosure, I did briefly work for NASA. When I was an undergrad, my research, I worked for them. I measured the moon. It was very, very fun. I measured craters on the moon. I know a lot of people that work at NASA. They're lovely folks.
Gotcha. Yeah. And thank you very much for your question. From Tim Pryor says, Nathan complains when kind of interrupted, then totally interrupts. Let's see. Next up, Michael Dresden. Okay. That is, we're skipping that one. King024 says, let's see. James, please ban me from your channel. Let's see. Okay. Gotcha. Skylar Fiction is in the house. He says, Maddie is amazing. Her patience is incredible. Raven Zero says, James, I know you, let's see, brought Nathan, but come on. Okay. And then Magellan, looking for more serious questions. Appreciate it, folks. Says, basically they had said, but his behavior is unacceptable. And let's see, thanks for your modern date debate. Thank you for your kind words. And Magellan says, Nathan, you are shockingly unaware of how reality works. Philly Evie says, can we ask Nathan why he consistently, let's see, breaks the 9th commandment even though he follows, let's see, what was the 9th commandment? I can't remember. Okay. Bearing false witness. Gotcha. Next up, Dick Warlock says, did you bring your dog to this fight, Nathan? Let's see. It's okay. Something about Witsit. Magellan. We were looking for more serious questions. Jay says, let's see. Can you shut down Nathan? We did make sure that Natty was able to talk, and Natty seated at the end. So, Truth Nerds, by seated I mean like was ready to go into Q&A. Truth Nerds said the Saros, is it Saros or
Saros?
Cycle is a rational approximation for aligning synodic and draconic month. The Inex cycle, e.g., is more accurate. The heliocentric model explains these cycles precisely. Flat Earth doesn't at all.
They developed those cycles before they even knew Earth was a globe. And you don't even have a 3-body equation for mass. So you can't pretend that you're calculating for all these different bodies, mass, gravity, bending space-time, and then saying where everything's going to be in 3 months or 3 years. That's a joke. All you did was hijack the flat Earth model. All the researchers, the Celts, the Phoenicians, Hipparchus, the Mayans, all of them knew how flat Earth worked, and the sky was a clock and a map.
Gotcha. And thank you very much for your question. This one coming in from Magellan says, Nathan, in what ways are predicting eclipses and the weather similar? You're so totally wrong.
Yeah, well, she was saying that you can't make predictions all the time perfectly, but we do predict eclipses perfectly, so that's why I brought that up.
Wolf von Hinslick, good to see you again, says, Nathan, your quote-unquote container you are asking for is the force of gravity. Please demonstrate a pressure gradient inside a container, you muppet.
Well, 1, gravity hasn't been proven, and 2, gravity's not a physical container, it's a force, and 3, at Earth's surface, gravity doesn't keep all the gas down, gas moves in all directions, and at the surface is where gravity's the strongest, so I'm sorry, saying gravity like a muppet just makes you scientifically illiterate.
Next up, King024 says, Nathan, do you think cold moonlight might violate the second law of thermodynamics?
No, nothing violates the second law, or it wouldn't be a law. Okay?
Next up, Tim Pryor says, fog, Nathan. It's a form of gas. It stays close to the ground. No container.
Fog is gas? Isn't that just aqueous particles in the atmosphere? What are you talking about, bro? What element is fog made up of?
Next up, this one coming in from Angel Garay says, Tyson also said that flat Earth is wrong, Nathan.
Wow, cool story, bro.
Sigma Any says, Nathan, why is the... Oh, we read that. And then out inside the open said, Japan and the Pacific Northwest have traded tsunami on several verifiable occasions in the recent past. Does the flat Earth map not make this possible?
I don't have a map. Never claimed to. I'm not a cartographer.
Next.
For?
What was it at? What was it, Maddie?
I was asking who that question was for. I was going to rant about extratropical transition of hurricanes, so nobody wants to hear that.
Von Hanslich says, Nathan, explain to me why being a veteran in the Army, being artillery, one of the factors I had to calculate is Earth's rotation to get accurate shots while shooting.
Well, he's just lying because Darrell Lee was a speaker at Take on the World, and he did artillery for 20 years, and he talked about how if they were 1 inch out of the danger zone where they're like shooting bullets at, they would all have to line up, and they only aimed on an X and a Y axis, never accounted for Coriolis once. Dude, you're just making stuff up. If that means if you accounted for Coriolis every time you shot an artillery, that means every time someone takes a tee shot, they'd have to account for Coriolis. Every time someone shoots a free throw, they would have to account for Coriolis. Every time an airplane travels somewhere, the Earth would rotate under the airplane. We would have drastically different journey times, east to west and west to east, but we don't. So stop making stuff up like a clown. Seriously.
Next up, this one coming in from I Have Thoughts says, Nathan, if there wasn't wind at all times, you wouldn't suffocate from your own carbon dioxide in your sleep.
Wow.
Or forgive me. They said, Nathan, if there wasn't wind at all times, you would suffocate from your own carbon dioxide in your sleep. Sorry about that. I butchered that.
That's a cool story.
I think they're saying, like, there's always air movement because if the carbon dioxide just sat in front of your face, you'd keep breathing it in over and over and die. Nathan?
Yeah, that's a cool story. It's not true. They're just dumb.
Tim Pryor says, that's why she said in a fictional scenario, Nathan. I can't remember.
Sometimes there is no wind outside, just so you guys know. And actually, you can go inside buildings, and then there's no wind inside buildings for sure.
But, like, just to be sure that we're, like, on the same page in terms of, like, what wind means, like air, like, is it fair to call, like, loosely speaking, like, is wind just, like, air moving?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So do you get the significance of, like, if there's, like, just to be sure that, because I know that there must have been, there was like a miss point where if you're breathing out carbon dioxide, if there were no air movement, it would just sit in front of your face, right? To where you just breathe it back in a billion times or however many times until you, like, die.
It's not how gas works. When you pop a balloon, the balloon of gas doesn't just sit there in one spot waiting for you to inhale it. Okay. So when you breathe out, the gas goes in all directions. Then you breathe in new air. It doesn't matter that when you're sitting in a car, there's no wind around you. So I'm not about to pass out from my own carbon dioxide. That guy's just a dumb globehead.
Next up, Nathan, want to remind you to play nice with others. Tim Pryor says, we got that. Philly EV, thanks for your question, said, hey, Nathan, what's an electromagnetic wake? Since you wouldn't answer when she asked you to explain it, sorry if someone else asked this first. Electromagnetic wake, Nathan, is what they're asking for you to define.
Yeah. So, I really don't care to, like, explain everything to you guys. Go look it up, bro. Google's your friend, bro.
To be fair to the question asker, like, it's a genuine, like, it's a sincere question.
Yeah, I know. It's a sincere answer. Okay, go do your own research, bruh.
Let's see. This one coming in from Kango24 says, Nathan, what is an electromagnetic wake and how does it pertain to hurricanes? Please give a detailed answer and how it predicts the direction of a hurricane, the direction that a hurricane would move in.
Nah.
Okay. Andrea Blazhev says, Fight the Flat Earth is the vaccine. Let's see. Vando XD says the Earth is spinning, so when the drone is flown, it is moving 1,000 miles per hour along with the Earth. It needs a strong horizontal counterforce to slow its speed. What force would that be in a house?
I think that's a question for me. And I think the question is, if the drone is moving with the Earth, then if we're inside the house, why doesn't it just shoot in the opposite direction at 1,000 miles an hour?
I think that might be it. That's my best guess now that you've elucidated it.
Okay. The short answer is just going to be friction. And it's in a fluid that is moving with the Earth. Even if you step into the house, you're still in the air, which is still a fluid that's still rotating. That's my short answer.
Gotcha. And thank you very much for this question coming in from Magellan. Says, Nathan, electromagnetic wakes are relevant to experiments involving plasma and, quote, relativistic electron beams. Nothing to do with the topic.
Cool story, bro.
Nathan, are you... Mark Reed says, Nathan, what experiments have you performed to test the electromagnetic wake you proposed, and how have they been falsifiable?
I never said I did.
Next up, Top Hot 2 says, great job, Maddie, stepping in on such short notice. Nathan, could you please explain what an electromagnetic wake is and how it creates hurricanes?
It doesn't create the hurricane. It just explains why they rotate in opposite directions.
Magellan says, as a certified celestial navigator, I can tell you that the calculations involve spherical trigonometry. The Earth is a globe.
Cool story, bro.
Nathan, Esteban Ilbaca, good to see you, says, Nathan, do the drone experiment in a building. Just don't let it track the floor or use GPS. That's why we use pendulums. Nathan.
That wasn't a question, James. It's just globe zealots telling
Next
me
up, truth nerds.
stupid.
Well, you can like attack it and try to dissect it, Nathan.
I'd rather not. I'd rather get going. Hey, can you approve me to join the Zoom on my phone so I can get going, bro? I'm done with this Wi-Fi spot. These guys are boring, bro.
Yes. Next up,
Cool,
this one coming in from Truth Nerd says, how many GPS towers were in Iraq during Desert Storm when it was first used in a military conflict. If you understand GPS, you know flat Earth is nonsense. Nathan.
That wasn't even a question, bro. So ask questions or let's just keep moving. Keep it pushing, bro.
Nathan. They did. It was. They said how many GPS towers were in Iraq during Desert
I don't know.
Storm when it was first used in military conflict.
I don't know. Google it, bro. Google's your friend.
Nathan, you're being sassy. Let's see. They had said so they're saying basically that GPS does work is their point, Nathan. I'm not sure what you're up to over there. I can only see your sun guard thing. But next up, Philly EV says, Maddie, you did amazing. You kept your cool when you were constantly talked down to and bullied, and bullied is incredible. It's sad that, let's see. They say it's sad that talking down to a debater is okay, honestly. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like the Wild West up here. I mean, like, speakers know that. Maddie knew that. She's a big girl. Let me give you your kudos from Philly first. But long story short, Will Stewart THFC Rant says, Nathan, if you want to know the truth, why not just ask Elon Musk? He is a non-government source. Nathan?
Right. Yeah, Elon gets $4 billion a year from NASA. So what the hell are you talking about?
Next up, Truth Nerds. Let's see. B-Ball for Life says, Nathan, if the air pressure is supposed to expand to the available space, why doesn't it expand to the... Nathan? Let me check if he's still here. Says, let's see. If the air pressure is supposed to expand to the available space, why doesn't it expand to the top of Mount Everest? Nathan may have left the building, folks. This is unexpected. I did not think that was going to happen. It may be an accident, so it may not have been a rage quit. He may be coming back. Let's just give him a moment, and we'll see. And in the meantime, what we will do is want to remind you folks that our guests are linked in the description. You can find their links down below. We highly encourage you to check out their links. We really appreciate both Maddie and every guest that we have come on the show, including flat earthers such as Nathan. If you're a flat earther, want to welcome you to Modern Day Debate. If you're a globe earther, we want to welcome you to Modern Day Debate, as we're a neutral platform welcoming everybody. And so, next question. Let me see if I can find more for you, Maddie, while we wait for Nathan to return. And let's see. Otherwise, I hate to say it because Nathan's not here to answer them, but I would have to read the questions. Well, he's back. Okay. He has returned. Let's see. Had me going there. I thought Nathan might have left the building. And so, wait, did he come back? Nathan, can you hear me? I see you are in the Zoom call, Nathan. Nathan, we have many more questions. Nathan. Next up. Question for Maddie. Thank you very much for this question coming in from Brian Cornell for Maddie. He says, Maddie, how does a railgun take out another ship 100 miles away if it is a direct line of sight weapon? In other words, no curvature accounted for.
Okay, sorry, my internet got a little unstable there for a second, but so a specific type of weapon that doesn't need to account for curvature?
Correct, the ray gun.
I think that was the question.
Yes.
Cool. I've shot weapons like twice in my life. So I don't have a strict answer for that. Sorry, James, can you read that question again? My internet messed up right as you asked it.
And Nathan has returned. He is here. Thank you for coming back, Nathan. And that isn't, I think, is that your way of asking me to, okay, I'm letting you in via your phone. And this question was from Brian asking Maddie, how does a ray gun take out another ship 100 miles away if it is a direct line of sight weapon?
Okay, I think he's asking about rail guns. That would be.
I think he's basically asking, how does a rail gun accurately fire at a ship 100 miles away without accounting for curvature?
My gut there says it doesn't. I would. I'm not an artillery person. I would need to look at like the specs of that weapon. So I'm gonna I'm gonna give the bad, my best answer, which is I don't know right now.
Gotcha. Liliaro says, thank you, Maddie, for not being as interruptive as Nathan. Thy Messenger says, Maddie, why are you okay with NASA faking space and wearing wire harnesses?
I'm not. I've definitely been to the moon. I've chatted with folks who have been there. And I got to work with a lot of people that worked on those missions, got to hear stories about how we get moon rocks back. I've looked at moon rocks. They're fundamentally different than Earth rocks. They're very cool.
Gotcha. And Nathan, can you hear me? I have a question for you. Nathan, I have a question. Okay.
Oh, yeah, I can hear you.
Tim Pryor says, Nathan, fog is a form of gas. Please look it up. Nathan.
Okay, cool.
Next up, let's see. This one coming in from Anthony Dickinson says, nice victory, Nathan. Much love to you, brother. You got a fan out there as well, Nathan. And then this one coming in from B-Ball for Life. I think this is maybe when we lost you, Nathan. Said, Nathan, if the air pressure is supposed to expand to the available space, why doesn't it expand to the top of Mount Everest?
It does. There is air at the top of Mount Everest. What the hell are you talking about, dude?
Next,
wow.
Next up, Ben Miller says, Nate, please explain how light/increase in energy produces coldness, which is a decrease in energy.
Yeah, well, that's the thing about the moon is the light from the moon is cold, and you just assumed all light is hot. So, no, moonlight's cold.
Gotcha. And this one coming in from Itchik Hunt. Thanks for your super sticker. Says, next up, Witsit Gets Its RV. Let's see. Okay. Oh, please explain thermodynamics.
Please, no.
I've got a short answer.
Sure.
It's a kind of a terrible joke. No. So the basics of thermodynamics, there's 3 laws. It's you can't win, you can't break even, you can't stop playing the game. So energy cannot be created or destroyed. If you're building an engine, you cannot build a 100% efficient engine. And the third one's kind of more complicated, but like you can't not play, right? You can't not in. I don't have a short answer. My analogy breaks down with that one, but the first 2 are usually what's quoted.
Gotcha. And thank you very much for your question. This one coming in from Sigma Any. He has a follow-up to his original question. His original question was, why is the Arctic chord correction required to yield an accurate closed planar traverse from precise spatial measurements, Nathan? Why do the basic computations otherwise fail without it? And then their follow-up question was, Nathan, you already know this, but for the audience, my previous question applies to optical measurement tools, not GPS. Simple mistake, though. Thanks for that clarification, Sigma Any.
Yep, that was a begging the question fallacy.
I think he was actually, he or she, I think they were just trying to clarify their question. Next,
Yep.
Thank you very much for your, let's see, I think I may have missed one, so forgive me 1 second while I make sure I have not missed this. This one coming in from Ben Miller says, oh, we got that. And then, thanks for your question. Isaiah 40:22 says, Maddie, do you realize this is indoctrination rather than scientific proof that you are speaking about? What are your thoughts, Maddie, in terms of whether or not this is indoctrination?
I mean, it's not indoctrination. Just because there's a preponderance of evidence that supports a single claim, and then that's claim is what is broadly taught, right? It doesn't make it indoctrination if it's like true and verifiable. And I can't stress how many things break if it's not, right? How many things that we rely on.
Gotcha. And Sigma Any says Tim Pryor says, Nathan not paying attention. Yes, Nathan, nobody believed that the earth was flat. That was regards to their earlier statement on nobody believing the earth was flat since 300 BC or so. Nathan?
Believe. You sound like a religious fundamentalist, bro. Believe.
Next up, Ben Miller says, Nate, I can make crepuscular rays with a laser in a lab over scaled distance. A local sun is not required. As close to parallel light rays as possible is.
Cool story, bro.
Nathan, are you paying attention? Did you hear that?
Yes, cool story, bro. It wasn't a question. He's just saying he can duplicate crepuscular rays, which is a laser, which was my point exactly. You need a small localized light source, obstruction, and particulates. It's like these people don't have a brain and then they want to talk to me. I'm not interested in talking to you guys.
Gotcha. Lily R.O., thanks for your kind words, says, Miss Modern Day Debate. Miss James, thank you for your kind, that really does mean a lot, Lily. And said, Nathan, why is it harder to breathe at higher altitudes?
Yeah, because there's less air up there.
And then asked, why is it hard to believe the atmosphere between the Earth and space exists?
Well, space is fake. That's why they're faking it with wires, green screen, harnesses, hairspray, augmented reality, and parabolic planes.
Gotcha. Let's see. Now Pinion says, so impressed by Maddie in this debate and how she kept her cool. I hope she's not discouraged to talk to flat earthers from this experience.
Not discouraged. Had a good time.
Next up, Nightwolf 972 says, Nathan, if the Earth is flat, why can't people in Australia see the constellation, the Big Dipper?
Because it's on the other part of the flat Earth. The same reason we have night and day is because you can't see the entire sky at any given time from any given place.
Gotcha. And Tapioca Weasel says, in my lab, so this is a long one. I trap a dilute gas of ultra-cold atoms at the focus of a laser beam within a vacuum chamber. The atoms at the focus are way higher pressure than the background at less than 10 to the negative 11 torr. There's no object made of atoms, which stops the atoms in my gas from dispersing. They're confined due to optical forces. This is gas contained without a container, analogous to how gravitational forces confine atmospheres.
Cool story, bro.
Okay, I know that wasn't for me, but that's such a cool experiment.
That's not an experiment.
Why not?
You still don't know what an experiment is. You need a naturally occurring observation, and then you test the naturally occurring observation with your hypothesis, which is an experiment. Okay? That is the experiment. So if you don't have a naturally occurring phenomenon that you formulate a hypothesis about, I wonder what the cause of this effect is, you don't have an experiment. I'm sorry you spent so much money on school and you still don't know what an experiment is. That's sad.
Give you a chance to respond if you'd like, Maddie.
Yeah, I just point out that, like, okay, so before we first built a car engine, we would have experimented with, like, the concept of an internal combustion reaction, right? And how can we do that safely, right? So there's lots of experimentation there, and there's no
that's called engineering.
Nathan, we've got to let her finish, Nathan.
That's called engineering.
Nathan, we got to let her finish.
Yeah, sure, but she's wrong.
There's no naturally occurring internal combustion engines, and yet we can build and design them. So this idea that a phenomena has to be naturally occurring, or we have to be able to, like, observe it now in nature, is just it's flawed. It's a flawed premise.
Next up,
Do you
Truth
think
Nerds.
building an engine? Wait, James, she thinks building an engine is science? Hello, Maddie. You think building an engine
I'm not gonna
for
engage
a car?
Next
you
up,
think building an engine is science?
Truth
You're just gonna
Truth
dismiss it.
Nerds.
Okay, cool.
Truth Nerd says, we don't have a closed formula for the three-body problem. Neither do we have for the circumference of an ellipse. Does this mean ellipses are fake?
No, it just means that you don't have a three-body equation for mass and that you can't predict anything on the heliocentric model. Congratulations. What a dumb question. Wow.
Next up, 2 seconds. Just boomer tech over here. But do want to remind you folks, our guests are linked in the description, and that includes if you were listening to us via podcast. We're on all major podcasts. And so hopefully that's useful to you folks if you have long drives or like listening to it on the commute or while cleaning, whatever it is. If you are listening via podcast, you can find our guest links there too. And thanks so much. This one coming in from Brian, let's see. Cider and Port says, how does Nathan account for the time zones on a flat earth? It's currently 1:35 in the morning as I type this, which isn't the same in the US right now. Please don't dodge this.
No, that's very simple. The sun circles around polar center. So when it's high noon over a certain area, it's not high noon over other areas. They have different times.
Gotcha.
Super simple. Yeah.
Gotcha. Ben Miller says, Nate, the Saros cycle is only accurate to plus or minus 36 hours, and that an eclipse will happen. Heliocentric globe model is why we can predict within the hour and where the shadow's path will cross the earth.
Yeah, maybe that guy wasn't listening, but they don't have a three-body equation for mass. They don't predict anything. They just hijack flat earth researchers. So you got to go rewind like 10 minutes and then go back to the beginning of the debate. We talked about it then. But like, catch up, bro. Come on.
Tim Pryor says, haha, says Google is your friend, continues to get information off YouTube, explains why he still doesn't understand the Coriolis. Nathan, do you understand the Coriolis? Nathan?
I do all my own tests. Very simply, guys. Coriolis, as stated by Neil Tyson, is the Earth rotating under objects. Yeah, I'm here. What, did I get muted or something? Hello?
We can hear
James,
you.
can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Did I hit a dead zone?
We can hear you.
Coriolis is Earth moving.
Okay, now we can't hear you.
Under objects.
It's not.
Earth doesn't move under objects.
Okay.
Might be my time to go.
Connell X Silver Fur says, what is an electromagnetic wake, Nathan?
Google's your friend, bro.
Long Nights YouTubing says, what's up, James? How's it going, man? Thank you for being with us, my friend. It's going well. Says, rough debate. Nate, if the Earth is flat, how come the other planets, the sun, moon, and stars, are not? Or are they, Nathan?
Well, Earth's not planets are wandering stars first because Earth's not a planet.
Nathan, bro, we can't hear you, man. Nathan? I don't know if you can hear me.
Oh, sorry.
Can you say that again? We lost you.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, Earth's not a planet, so that's why planets are round.
Gotcha.
Nerd.
Magellan says, rest in peace, Nathan. Okay. Let's see. The Logical Hillbilly says, just say you made up electromagnetic wake. It's not like we can think. Okay, gotcha. Nathan, did you make this up? Nathan?
I gotta go, James.
Nathan.
Are there any more serious questions? Because I gotta go.
Yeah, we do. This one comes in from Sigma Any says, this one, well, we've got one, he's got one for Maddie, but I've got another one for you, Nathan, which is EndoXD says, my question was for Nathan. He says the drone should move as the Earth moves under it, but it needs a force. Can you please re-ask it? And that question for you, Nathan, is this. They said the Earth is spinning. So when the drone is flown, it is moving at 1,000 miles an hour along with the Earth. It needs a strong horizontal counterforce to slow its speed. What force would that be in a house?
You're just begging the question, assuming that it's going 1,000 miles an hour.
It's not. The Earth's not rotating.
Next up, Antonio. And let's see. Looking for serious questions. Thanks for your super sticker, Lyndon. And this one coming in for Maddie.
Sorry, my dog is lying on an iron and he just managed to turn it on. I'm trying to. Okay.
No
fixed.
worries. Totally
He's
okay.
fine.
And Sigma says his original super chat was for Maddie.
Okay.
And let me read that again. So that was Maddie. They said, why is the arcticord correction required to yield an accurate closed planar traverse from precise spatial measurements? Why do the basic computations otherwise fail without it?
Okay, so I'm not, there's some technical language in there that I'm not 100% familiar with precisely what they're asking. I think we're asking about curvature of the Earth stuff. And so the number that was thrown out a lot tonight it's an approximation. It's not exactly right. You have to take into account like the angular distance. And so my short answer to his question there is angles. Yeah, you have to account for the angular distance because the distance of the arc length isn't exactly the same as the chord distance. So you need the arc length.
Gotcha. And Anthony Dickinson says, Maddie, how do you explain that the Earth was revolving around for the first 3 days of creation?
How do I explain? Okay, hi. So I don't think that the Bible is literally true. So if we're talking about, I think that's my answer. That's my answer to that.
Gotcha. And
Yeah, it literally is.
Gotcha. Next up, we are going to go to the next one. This one coming in from Brian Witt says, Nathan, if you drive a convertible at 60 miles an hour with a 60 mile per hour tailwind and throw a ball up in the air, which direction will it go?
Yeah, if you don't drive a car and you don't have a tailwind, you throw a ball up in the air, what direction does the ball go? Dude, you guys are so goofy. That argument works on both models. You haven't figured that out yet, guys? We've been doing this 5 years. It's pathetic, dude.
Logical Hillbilly said, just so everyone knows, cool story, bro, means, wow, that completely went over my head. Nathan, is that true?
Cool story, bro.
Next up, Gabriel K says, good job moderating, James. Thank you. I will take that. For all you haters out there, just keep on hating. Keep drinking your haterade. Magellan says, Nathan, how does the direction of the moon change as you drive from one parking lot to the next parking lot for sleeping?
What?
Okay, they said, how does the direction of the moon change?
James, it's not a real question, bro. Next question. And if you read another one like that, bro, I'll just leave. I got better things to do. I've been here for 2 hours, bro.
Calm down.
I've been here for 2 hours.
Nathan, come
okay?
on. Work with me.
I already asked you.
You called Maddie a bookworm.
I already asked you at the beginning of it, James. I don't give a shit. Okay. She is a bookworm. She doesn't test anything.
Nathan,
she doesn't know, she doesn't know anything
say.
about the
All right,
dude.
Next question. Truth Nerd says, Nathan, they said we can predict the three-body... Wow, why are you laying? Okay, never mind. They say we can predict the three-body system's behavior using numerical integration just fine. I studied numerics and higher math at university. What's your qualification?
I tested Earth for 5 years myself, and it's flat. So that's a cool story. You went to school, bro.
Next up,
cool
Tim
story.
Pryor says, Nathan, talking about catching up, flat earthers claim ships disappear bottom first because of perspective. Now, because we prove them wrong about zooming in, keep up with your buddies.
They do disappear bottom first because of perspective. But the thing is, if you get a different aperture, like a telescope or a high-power zoom camera, voila, you can see it again, Einstein. Do these people like pay attention to anything, bro? Do they like even listen to anything? I don't get it.
Juicy to say the least. And we want to say thank you, everybody. It is true. The speakers have been here for a while. And
yeah.
Will Stewart, THFC, rants, This is one that came up before, and I missed the question. I think I missed who it was from, so I'll, on behalf of them and Will. Will says, Nathan, where in the Bible does it literally say it is flat? And I think Will wants a piece of you, Nathan.
Yeah, a lot of Glovers are obsessed with me, want to take me on dates. I don't really care about all that. I don't date globeheads. But in the Bible, it's pretty hard to find. Just go to the first chapter in the first book and go to the first verse. In the beginning, the Creator created the heavens and the earth was without form and void. And darkness moved over the waters, or darkness flew over the deep, and the Spirit of Yah moved over the face of the waters. So large bodies of waters have a face, a surface, and the surface is flat, measurably flat. I've tested it for 5 years. Sorry, you want a piece of me? Keep dreaming.
Gotcha. And want to say thank you, everybody, for being with us. Also want to let you know our guests are linked in the description, folks. We want to let you know we hope you feel welcome no matter what walk of life you come from, folks. We are a nonpartisan platform, and we do appreciate you hanging out with us. It's always fun. I'll be back with a post-credit scene in just a moment. If you enjoyed this debate, hit that like, or if you were triggered and angry by this debate, hit that dislike button. Have at it. And Tim Pryor has one last question. He said, no, you can't zoom in, Nathan. Tried it. That's a lie. Once the bottom's gone, there's no zooming in it back in. Namely, there's no zooming in to see the bottom again.
Yeah, okay. All right. Cool story, bro. Yeah, you're right. My bad. I thought it did.
Gotcha. And juicy. Well, thank you very much, folks. As mentioned, our guests are linked in the description. We do appreciate you all being here. And yes, as I had mentioned, folks, hit that like or dislike on the way out, depending on how pleased or displeased you were. And also want to let you know, thanks, everybody. We want to let you know, let's see. Want to let you know, folks, we appreciate all of your huge support. We'll be back with a post-credit scene in just a moment. And so stick around for some upcoming debates that I will share with you. Keep sifting out the reasonable from the unreasonable, and be right back. Thanks again, Maddie. I think Nathan is left.
Thanks, James.
Be right back, folks. Well, that was juicy, folks. Very exciting. And so thank you guys. That was a wild one, no doubt about it. But do want to get to say hi to you guys. I do appreciate you hanging out here. Thanks, Ben Miller, for your last-minute super chat. Said MDD making bank off this aneurysm. Well done, James. How could you say that about Maddie? I'm just teasing. So it is, let's see. We love Maddie, and I want to let you know, folks, despite my teasing, I want to let you know Maddie was super kind, as I had a feeling Reckless Ben was going to pull one on us. so I actually asked Maddie if she'd be willing to be on deck in case Reckless Ben didn't show up. And so honestly, you guys, I highly encourage you to check out the links of our guests in the description. And I highly encourage you to give Maddie a thank you for being on call for this debate. She basically waited to see if Ben was going to show up. And then and basically I let her know, I was like, hey, he's not here. And she's like, okay, I'll jump in. So I totally appreciate Maddie and just want to give her huge credit for that and huge thank you for that. Jungle Jargon, good to see you. Stripper Liquor, good to see you. Connell X Silverfur, glad you're here. And Askin Reeve, thanks for being with us. And Aaron Yandel, thanks for being with us. No Name, glad you're here. Fox Sushi, good to see you again. Brian Stevens, glad to see you as always. Goriller's Paradise, thanks for being with us. Travis Pratt says, I agree, James. Thanks for your kind words, Travis. That means a lot. Thanks for your super chat. Farron Salas says, thanks again for another juicy debate. Modern day debate. Got to this debate at the end, but always good fun. Thanks, Farron. I appreciate that, and I want to show you something, buddy, because you're right. It was juicy, and my dear friend Mr. Nelson sent me this favorite shirt that I have now. Nothing better than this, and even on the back, you guys. Oh, I love it. Isn't that awesome? And so, MDD, I really appreciate that gift. So, but yes, it was juicy, and so we do appreciate you guys. Thank you for all of your support. For real. This channel we've been going through all these changes in terms of like trying to figure out like what's the best rule set for our channel in terms of we want to encourage people to attack the arguments rather than the guests because we appreciate the guests and we want to look out for the guests. And so that's the trick is that it's like, well, guests, so long story short, that's why we are kind of taking a more active role in terms of deleting stuff when people are trashing the guests. And so we can take a little teasing, like a little teasing is okay if it's like, haha, you know, Nathan wears he wears like I'm trying to think of I'm dead, you guys. It's the end of the week. I can't think of anything. But we can take a little teasing, it's okay, but we do ask you to hold back on the serious attacks. Now, let's see. Handsome Rick says we need to talk to James about this Nathan and platforming people like this. Listen, I've got to tell you, some of you guys, you're just going to have to deal with it. Believe it or not, you're going to deal with a lot harder of things in life than Nathan Thompson being platformed to make his case for flat earth. For real. Life will get harder. Believe me. Trust me. And so you're going to have to just learn to live with it and stop trying to pressure me and stop trying to do this. Even worse, sometimes I see people who are like, James is having Nathan on. I'm going to unsub. I'm going to boycott. And it's like, okay, have fun. Like, I don't care. So the idea here is like that kind of manipulative stuff of like, instead of trying to have a civil conversation where I try to dialogue with James about this, I'm gonna threaten to unsubscribe or I'm gonna threaten to. It's like, okay, I mean, if you're that type of person, this channel is gonna be better without you anyway. And so all the losers and haters out there, it's like, I'm sorry, it's like, go ahead, unsubscribe. I don't care. It's just that we get so many people that try to manipulate, and it's so cringy. It's like, wow, you look like this nasty little creepy little snake in the grass. But that's 1% of the people, want to be fair. Dr. Mantis Toboggan, thanks for your kind words. Your kind super chat says, Nathan, why can't you keep your cool and answer the questions? And basically they're not pleased with Nathan. And so we do want to say we do appreciate you guys hanging out here. And so let's see. But yeah, thanks so much. We do appreciate all of your support. And I'm just catching up on chat. Jason Noble says, thank you, Maddie. Oliver Catwell, good to see you, says, Maddie seems really cool, and that's for sure. Like I said, I really do appreciate, let's see. Mr. P says, James, there was a rumor circulating in the chat earlier that you were studying your PhD at Dinosaur Adventureland. That's right. That is where it's at. You guys, I've been trying to keep it under wraps. I didn't know what you guys would think. Spart344 says, already did. Glad to see us, Spart. Alex Shaw, thanks for being with us. And Gcash, good to have you here, says, love Maddie. Agreed. YouTube Surgeon General says, Maddie was great. I appreciate it so much. Like I said, Maddie was just kind of like, sure, like I'll be on call. And that's a hard thing. And I told Maddie, I appreciate Maddie so much for that. Brooke Chavez, good to see you. And let's see. Spart344 says, Maddie is a new version, like a new type of Erica type. It's true. I think that is true, and we appreciate Maddie. And Human Girl, thanks for your kind words, your hearts. And then let's see, Super Nintendo, thanks for hanging out with us. I love the name. Forest Floor, good to see you. And Anthony Dickinson, let's see, have an idea, says, have you heard of the serpent seed? I have not. I don't know what it is. Thanks for your kind words. Web Bard said you did great. We don't hate you for your way of moderation. We know and accept it. Yeah, I mean, that's the trick. There is a rhyme. There's like actual reason behind why I moderate the way I do. I've explained it to some people before. I'm not going to explain it every night because I honestly think that that's part of the recipe for why, like, people have enjoyed modern day debate. Like, you guys, I'll tell you, a lot of channels out there, they're like really big on control and just, oh, we're going to moderate. It's got to be so professional. And it's boring. I hear from their subscribers, they're sleeping. They're like, oh, it's so tiring. It's so boring. I fall asleep because it's so controlled over here. And we have controlled debates too. We have peaceful, professional debates. We do, for real. You've seen them. But yeah, sometimes they're more lively. And it's like, oh, you going to cry? Listen, if you're really that upset by it, I got to let you know, it's good training for the rest of your life. You're going to run into things that are hard. So, hey, I mean, it's good for you to get some practice at it. Don't ask for a light load, friends. Ask for a strong back. That's my philosophy. And so, yes, let's see. Sean Thomas, glad you're here. Schuler, good to see you. Hannah Anderson, glad you're here. No Name, happy to have you. Thom Walbrand, thank you for being with us. And let's see here. Mr. P says, James is the love child of a large-chinned rock and Kent Hovind. Thanks for your kind words. And Boy, thanks for being with us. Jorgen, thanks for being here. I think, are you talking to me? It said, what software do you use for this? We use OBS. And we're pretty big on telling we don't keep secrets, folks. When I started Modern Day Debate, I remember there were some channels that like seemed to like try to keep it a secret, like how they did the stuff. And I was like, I didn't feel entitled, but I also kind of thought, like, if I ever get the opportunity to share our secrets, and if people ever want to know how Modern Day Debate does what we do, I'm happy to share. So for real, like, yeah, we use OBS and we use Zoom. We do a window capture of Zoom. Bada bing, bada boom. As long as you're not on a Mac, it'll pick up your audio from Zoom through the desktop audio. It's a piece of cake. If it's a Mac, it's a little bit more complicated, and I haven't figured it out yet, but just want to let you know. And then... but yeah, anyway, happy to help and share those secrets with you guys. It's not really a secret. Geza, the master viewer, thanks for being with us. Brian Stevens says, is typing things the guest says, like, bro, in the chat okay? Like, if the guest has a mocking tone, is it okay to use their own mocking tone back at them? I think that's fine. Like, I think that's the trick is, like, we were pretty heavy-handed since last, what was it, Friday, when we had the nuclear meltdown. But M. Stone, glad to see you, by the way. Yeah. But basically, it's the really harsh stuff that I kind of want to be like, for example, like, I don't blame Matt for being upset that somebody called him an N-A-Z-I. Because it's like, that's slander. It is. That's real slander. It's like, don't call people that in the chat. I mean, if they are that, like, fine. But I mean, like, it's just kind of, but yeah, anyway. Fred, thanks for being with us. And Michael McGillicuddy, good to see you, my dear friend. And Brian Stevens says, but yeah, so yeah, I think that's fine, Brian. I am a little bit like, when people call people dishonest all the time, I'm a little bit like, geez. But I honestly, I don't know. Stripper Liquor says, deplatforming is of no benefit ever. Yeah, so, so here's the thing. Handsome Rick says it's bullying and abuse. Maddie's tough. Like, Maddie's not a pushover. She's not a wimp. I actually thought Maddie did well in this debate. And I also thought Maddie was also, like, tough in this debate in the sense that, now you might be like, well, but Maddie wasn't assertive as Nathan. It's like, well, yeah, because Nathan is, like, off the charts assertive, and that's putting it nicely. But I think that you guys, like, Maddie is like, believe me, the things that I think Maddie will be okay. I know he called her a bookworm, but I think she'll be okay. She's a little tougher than that. Come on, guys. Give her a little more credit. Please don't tell me you're doing the whole white knight thing. You should punch yourself in the face if you're doing that. No offense. But doubting Toz, I don't know if you do. I'm sorry. I'm a little bit, you guys can tell I'm a little on edge tonight. I knew I was going to have to give you some pushback. All day I knew that. I was thinking about it. But thanks, Tuss Beatbox. Thanks for your kind words. Geza, the master viewer, thanks for your super sticker. Appreciate that, my friend. And let me just catch up. I just love reading the chat, and I appreciate you guys just hanging out here. Deity Defeater says, just want to say you're a very good moderator. Thanks for your kind words. That seriously means a lot. Handsome Rick says, okay, unsubscribed. And I'm like, that is great. The channel, you guys seriously, like, you can tell I have a Duchenne smile. I have a real smile right now. And the reason it's like, this is good. We're like, it's the purge of all these like crybabies and all these people that try to manipulate with their, I'm going to unsubscribe. It's like, are you 13? You're like, please tell me you're not a grown adult doing that kind of stuff. That's like, just looks like manipulative and like this kind of like, unsubscribe rather than try to have a normal conversation. But CRISPR, I know it's like Christopher CAS9 says the issue isn't his subject matter, it's his behavior. He was insulting to Maddie and refused to answer audience questions. I don't think that's what you want for this channel. So I would agree in terms of we covered insulting to Maddie. I think she'll be okay. CRISPR doing the whole white knight thing doesn't look good on you. He called her a bookworm. I think she'll be okay. She's tough. You guys, it's insulting to Maddie. You think that she can't handle that. But yeah, the other thing is, I would agree, like, it is cringe. I do not like it when people won't answer audience questions. So that I would actually agree, and that's something that I did ask Nathan. Nathan, are you paying attention? Nathan, what do you have to say? But yeah, so let's see. Out Inside the Open, thanks for being with us. Super Straight Earther, thanks for being with us, and we are so glad that you're here. By the way, you guys, I mentioned we'll have some upcoming juicy debates. Thanks for your super chat. Tim Pryor said, I got Nathan to admit that he was wrong. Do I win anything? I got to be honest, it is kind of crazy. Nephilim Free, thanks for your super chat. That's really nice of you. Like, well, that's nice of you. He said, thanks for being you. Thanks, Nephilim Free, for your kind words. Seriously, that means a lot. And so, let's see. I'm a little bit behind. I'm trying to catch up with the chat. Thanks for your patience, guys. I'm scrolling, trying to catch up. Tuss Beatbox says, can we have an Erica Maddie tag team? Oh, that's a great idea. I honestly would love that. And so Jane Casper says he didn't even pay attention half the time. Is during the debate, if a debater doesn't pay attention, it's to their own, like, you could say it contributes to their own loss, right? And so it's like you're kind of like, well, he didn't pay attention. And it's like, well, do you think that helped him in some way? Like, it's like it comes back on him anyway, in terms of if a debater doesn't pay attention, like, it's to their own, you could say, contributes to their own loss. And so, but yeah, thank you. Let's see. Henry had a question. I saw something about how many subs do you need, and so here's the I got some questions for you guys, because I want your feedback on a couple things. But Henry Kyle, you don't need subscribers to be on the channel. If you're a good debater, like, we'll have you even if you have 0 subs. I mean, so there are a couple other things, like, if you're able to, because it's true, I got to let you know, folks, some of you don't know. Even though daily we grow in subs, and I'm really thankful for that. Like, we haven't had a negative day in subs for a long time, and I'm thankful for your guys' support, as you guys have helped. So, like, you guys, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you, and just, like, I love hanging out here, and the more the merrier. But it's true that individual debates, I can see in the stats if certain debates have a net loss of subscribers. So if you're new, we usually are, like, super appreciative if you're able to find somebody, like an opponent who has subscribers. That's kind of like almost like insurance, where it's like, if we have a really bad new person, which, like, it happens, like, and we have sometimes people who are experienced have bad days too. Like, I'm not trying to pick on anybody, but the point is that, like, if you can find us a person who has, like, a larger, like, YouTube following, that helps, such that if you're a new person and you crash and burn, having that new person with, like, a larger following can kind of, like, help bring new people to the platform. I mean, it's true. And so, because that's true, it's like, you guys, like, if we have a debate, so sometimes we'll have a debate and it's like, it's a net loss of subscribers, it's like a bummer for me. And so I would just say that it's like, if you're able to go out, so for example, we recently had I'm so bad with names. Oh man, because I made an apology video for him even. Donald Kronos. Hope you're doing well if you're listening, Donald. Thank you for your kindness and forgiveness of me, as I did make a mistake. But Fractal Insight Bear says, I used to think James held a bias during the debates against the Flat Earther speakers, but after that explanation, I respect you more for your role, James. Thanks, Fractal Insight Bear, for your kind words. Seriously, that means a lot. Really do appreciate your kind words and your support. And long story short, Donald Kronos, Henry Kyle, if you're still there, Donald Kronos went and he got Kent Hovind to come back on. Even though Kent kept saying no to me, Donald Kronos convinced him. And that got Kent Hovind back on. And you guys might say, like, no, don't have Kent Hovind. It's like, well, you guys, if we're a neutral platform claiming to give everybody a shot, like, then we have to give everybody a shot. We have to be consistent with that. And so, long story short, I would say, like, that helps a lot, is if you're able to find like a guest that maybe, whether they be a tag team partner or an opponent, that helps us in case, like, the first YouTuber, or I should say the first time debater, crashes and burns or something. Gabriel K says, James, you're awesome. Still waiting on the Alien show. I would die to see Bob Lazar on Modern Day Debate. Thanks for your kind words, my friend. And I want to get him on. No joke. I know who you're talking about. Sideshow Nav, good to see you. Thanks for your kind email today, man. Said, most definitely not boring. Thanks for your kind words. And then Anthony Dickinson said, serpent seed is the fact that Cain is the son of the serpent and not Adam. But whoever said that Adam was the son of the serpent? In, like, any literal way. Cain is the son of the serpent. Talk to Zen Garcia. He will debate it. Should be awesome. I'm open to it, I guess. But Stripper Liquor is right. We're not a safe space. We're not your grandma's debate channel. Like, I'm going to be real. Like, it is a kind of an adult debate channel in a lot of ways. And OSD says it's more about being able to have a productive conversation. You can't do that when someone is rude and uncooperative. There are points when Nathan was rude and uncooperative. I would concede that. I wouldn't say it was the whole time, but I do think that he kind of got worn down and started becoming less cooperative as the time went on. I would concede that. Ben Miller says, Modern Day Debate, to be fair, you could change the channel name more accurately to more Modern Day Discussion. That's true. I mean, we are not, we don't really do a lot of formal debates anymore. Thanks so much again, Nephilim Free, for your super chat. And thanks, Geza, the Master Reviewer, for your super sticker. Dave Langer says, chat always moves way faster for your Jerry Springer type debates, so you're doing something right. Don't listen to the vocal minority. Thanks, Dave Langer, for your kind words. Platium says, stay awesome and join the Modern Day Debate Discord all. Thanks, Platium, for your kind words. I have to let you know, you were, like, so kind and so helpful with the Discord, and I seriously appreciate your help with that. And I seriously appreciate it. And so you have no idea. Thank you for doing that. Platium and Larry Letts are leaders of the Discord, because I don't know how to do Discord, but I appreciate them doing it, and they do an awesome job. Cliff Matthews, thanks for being with us. Handsome Rick, still complaining, but that's okay. We love you anyway. Devil's Advocate, thanks for being with us. And Geza, let's see. I just saw, where was it? Silver Harlow says, don't know if you saw it before because of the other questions, but I asked if you, James, are a moral human because your patience with dumpster debaters is too much. Thanks for your kind words. I guess statistically I should probably guess that I'm, like, average. But I don't know. There's, like, let me take a sip. I'm tired. I gotta be honest. But yeah, thank you guys for being here. Thanks for your kind words. And yeah, like, we want to, let's see. Mr. P says, we need an Erica 2.0 with Hovind. That would be interesting. Caleb says, my grandma loves this debate channel. Are you serious? Really? I'm, like, so flattered if that's the case. I appreciate that. Thanks for your kind words. Perfect One said, seriously, when you were saying that there would be tougher challenges in this life than someone you don't like getting a platform, I thought James is going to be a good parent. I see what you're saying. Thanks for your kind words. I hope so. I want to be a parent someday, and who knows if it'll happen. But Web Bars is, it's so interesting that Nathan just collapses if there's no pressure exerted on him. Let's see. Michelle Luis Davis, good to see you again. And thanks again. Platium says, we'll make modern day debate Discord even greater over time. Thanks for doing that, Platium. Seriously. I honestly, if you ever, like, I just appreciate you so much. We should talk more, Platium. I know that you emailed me, and I know that, so yeah. Oh, Dave Langer says from Twitch, Lilybug says, Doc Midnight on Twitch would probably debate on COVID matters if James is looking for new meat, and probably pull in some Twitch viewers. I don't know who those are, but I am open to them, Dave Langer. So let's talk more, because I'm going to save their names. And then, like, I'd honestly be pumped to host them. And I'm open to it, and that could be fun. And so, yeah, I know it's been a little sassy tonight. So thanks for your patience with me, folks. I appreciate it. Thanks for your super chat. Lyndon says, hi, love the channel. I'm a graphic designer and have some ideas on how to make the stream look even better. Can I mail you some images to explain? Yeah, seriously, that's like the kindest thing in the world. I totally appreciate that. Thank you so much, Lyndon. Seriously, that means a lot. Because it's true. I will admit, you guys, there are things, yeah, I just appreciate your support, you guys. So thank you guys for helping make this better. And let's see, Dave Langer, I'm going to save those names of those Twitch debaters, and then we'll try to like make it work. That sounds fun. And so I've got their names in here, and let's go for it. And oh, Mortal. I am immortal. Thank you, Silver. You're funny. Anthony Dickinson says, I misspoke. Cain was the son of the serpent. Abel was the son of Adam. Let me think about this. I'm trying to, it's a long week. Oh, I see what you're saying. Because they're brothers. You're saying that they're not brothers, though. Because you're saying that, well, unless they're, could they be half brothers such that Eve had intercourse, or she didn't have intercourse with Adam, according. So did she have intercourse with the snake? But anyway, I've never heard of this idea. I'm trying to figure out what it is, and so but thanks for letting me know about it. It's interesting. And Megan Satanis, good to see you. Flat Earth Guy, good to see you. Human Girl, glad you're here. Jane Casper, I appreciate you, even though you give constructive criticism. And I would say, as a result of the fact that you give constructive criticism, I hope you know, guys, I don't want you to feel like you can't give constructive criticism. It's easier for me to like accept your constructive criticism and embrace it if it's friendly, but at the same time, even if it's like not particularly friendly, I want to be open to it. And the reason is, it's more the things that I find to be cringe are more when people are like, James, I'm unsubscribing. I just unsubscribed. So there. And I'm like, well, first of all, like, if you've already left, like, why do I have a reason to like change for you? And I guess it's like, oh, I'm going to like, okay, I'll change my way to get this one person to come back because they don't want me to platform, Nathan or whoever. And it's like, no, like it doesn't even make sense. It's just not a good, like, how could you think it's a good strategy? So that makes me think like, you can't be that like dense to think it's a good strategy. It makes me think like you're just trying to be manipulative. You're just trying to like, I'm going to try to discourage James by saying this. Hold on, I'm taking this blazer off. It's hot. It just comes off as like manipulative, And that for me, that's the kind of stuff that I'm like, okay, yep. And like, oh, the boycotts and stuff too. I'm like, you look like you're just attention seeking. Gaza the Master Reviewer says we don't see enough debates in the mainstream media. They should take notes. Thanks for saying that. I agree, and I'm not joking when I say that we want to grow modern day debate to be gigantic. Like, no joke. My goal is like someday, Lord willing, I want to have this podcast be as big as like the Joe Rogan Experience in 10 years. Like, I'm very serious about that. Like, I love doing this. I'm committed to doing it. It's enjoyable. And so Michelle says, is that a huge mic or is it really huge or are you really tiny? It's a pretty good size mic. My hand is like pretty big. I've got big hands. And so I can tell you that like, where is it? yeah, that's a big mic, because my hands are like, trying to think of like how I can like show a comparison, but it's a big mic. But thanks, Doubting Thomas, who says, host who you want, James. And let's see, Will Stewart, good to see you, buddy. Says, Scripture says Adam is Cain's son. Adam is Cain's son? Now Adam knew Eve, his wife, and she conceived and bore Cain, saying, I have gotten a man with the help of the Lord. Yeah, I know that, I know that Genesis would say that Scripture says that that Cain is Adam's son. I know that. Jay Mixon said, how do you go tonight? Do you feel any better this week? I do feel better this week, and that means a lot, because honestly, last week was like, no joke, hellish. Like, it was just terrible. So thank you guys for being super supportive. Seriously, you have no idea how much it means. I do really appreciate that. You guys are like the most loyal people. I appreciate that. And I honestly appreciate you guys being so kind and so helpful. And so, but yeah, let's see. Jane Casper says, you should grow out your beard. The sheer intimidation will make the rudeness go away. Love you forever. You have improved so much. Love you. Thanks, Jane. Love you too. Thanks for your kind words. I seriously appreciate the encouragement. And Brooke Chavez says, I hope you get some much needed rest this weekend. Thanks, Brooke. I definitely plan on it, and I think it will be helpful. Let's see. And OXD says, how's that PhD coming? You're on here every night. Don't overwork yourself. Thanks, my friend. The PhD is going well. About 2 more years left. That's the plan. I was excited today. I got, it's like unofficial, but it's still, I got invited to teach again next year, which is really cool, because I like teaching my own classes. It's enjoyable. I love getting to interact with the students. It's an awesome time. And so I actually kind of tempted to do it again, even though it's really time consuming. So thank you for asking. And research has been a little behind, but I can catch up. And so thanks, Dave Langer, for being here and teaching us how to do Twitch, which, by the way, you guys, if you have not found us on Twitch, if you haven't yet, check us out on Twitch. And so I'm putting that link into the live chat right now. And I want to encourage you guys, if you haven't yet, check out our Twitch, as we do appreciate all of your support. And so, yeah, that is linked in the description. And so I'd highly encourage you, check it out. We are excited about the Twitch. It's been growing. Dave Langer helped us big time, to say the least. Dave Langer basically did the whole thing, and I just took his direction. So I appreciate that, Dave Langer. And, you're right, Dave Langer, I'm so sorry I've been behind on the Twitch chat. Yo. Thanks for your guys' support. I seriously mean that. Those of you in the Twitch chat. Poor Lucy, good to see you. Lilybug, where'd you go? Lilybug RO, thanks for being here. We do appreciate you. And then Top Settle in there, I see ya. Thanks so much, though, everybody in the Twitch chat, for all of your support. And yeah, tonight was a crazy one indeed. That was an adventurous one. But yeah, let's see. Mr. P says, be careful. I will. That's true. It is a beta curtain. And but yeah, thank you. And I will try to I'll try to not burn myself out. I actually enjoy this a lot. So thank you guys. Why Tirani? My PhD is in, and I'm not done with it yet. I'm in the PhD track. So I'm almost done with the master's, and then this fall I'm supposed to take the comprehensive exam, which is a big deal. It's going to be it's going to be pressure, but I came here for an adventure, so I'm happy about it. And but basically, the answer to your question is, it's in industrial organizational psychology. So basically work psychology is what my PhD track is in. And so, yeah. Thanks, Gabriel K, for your super chat. Said, for the champagne, James, opens at 50K. That is so kind. And you're right. 50K is a milestone. So we really should do it would be like a fun celebration. And so That's so kind of you, and you're right. I mean, like, that could be. I mean, like, I don't know. I think I was just peeking in the stats today, and we like maybe are like, it's like between 1,500 and 2,000 subs a month, which is exciting. Thank you guys for your support. You guys make this fun, so thank you guys. You guys make it a party. That's what it's just. The more the merrier. No matter what walk of life you're from, we hope you feel welcome. And yeah, and so Stripper Liquor says, not subscribing, just sticking my tongue out at you. Key Pryor Mendopen says, love you, brother James. Thanks so much, my dear friend and my dear brother. Assuming you're a brother rather than a sister, whoever you are, I just appreciate you. Thank you. And Human Girl says, get Destiny more. 1 week. Destiny's coming back in a week, so I'm excited about that. That should be a lot of fun. And then Mr. Flibble, thanks for being with us. Glad you're here. Logan Rains, glad you're here as well. D. Bahiston, thanks for hanging out with us. No Lame, glad you're here. And let's see. But here are some of the things I'm thinking about. And I'm not sure. You guys got to let me know your opinion. So a lot of channels do what is called the pillar strategy. What that means is they have their bulk content. So like in our case, the whole debate upload that we have for every debate. Like it's just a one big 1.5 or 3 hour stream video on our video library. Something that people do, you've probably seen this all over the place, is they take a piece from their video and they upload just that piece. So for example, for us, it might be like, let's say it's a Q&A, and it was like, let's say it was like from the Matt Dillahunty versus Ray Comfort debate. And it was like somebody in the audience asked Matt Dillahunty, like, how do you, I don't know, how do you explain morality on an atheistic system? Let's say they asked him that, on an atheistic worldview or whatever you want to say. And then Matt gives his response. And then let's say we just take that. So it just has the question, where I'm reading the question, and then it just has the response from Matt. Or, it might be, just a question for Ray Comfort, and then a response from Ray giving his answer. If we cut out like clips like that, basically we could then upload it on the channel. And the reason, you're like, why would you do that, James? Well, the reason is YouTube will recommend those videos to a lot of people. And so basically we will have a lot more subscribers. We'll grow faster, which is cool because we want to get the word out about modern day debate. And I think it's a great strategy. And so I'm thinking, if we do this, which I think we're going to do it, but I'm trying to figure out, should we upload those little, 5-minute, 2-minute clips? Should we upload them either on a new channel called Modern Day Debate Clips, or I frankly kind of lean toward, should we upload those clips on this channel, Modern Day Debate, the original channel? The reason is because if we did that, it would bring a lot of new people to the channel. And it's like, we could put it on another channel. So like I said, if we had Modern Day Debate Clips, and then, in the description of each of those videos, those little clips on that channel, if we put in the description like, oh, hey, we put in the description like, go find the rest of this debate on Modern Day Debate's channel, the Modern Day Debate channel, the original channel. Like that, I'm thinking about doing that. And I think if we did it, if I found people who know how to edit video and people were like up for it, because I want to do it myself, but I just don't know if I have the bandwidth time-wise. Thanks, Jay Mixon, for your support. Says, my kid brother is an apologist. He had Mike Licona on his show today. Have you considered getting Mike Licona on? That would be epic. For real, Jay, that's something I'm considering. And so, by the way, who's your kid brother? Let me know, because that's cool. But yeah, I'm open to that. Have you ever had Tyler Vila on? Yes, against Matt Dillahunty. And so what do you guys think, though? Mark Reed says the atheist experience does that. It works really well. So I'm considering it. The reason I like it, and so Will Stewart says THFC Rant says that would work with the Q&A. I agree. The thing I like about it is it's just like, I just like it. I like the idea. Philly Av says, by the way, James, wasn't to dig at you about the debater. I was saying, Nathan, blah, blah, blah. I get what you're saying. Don't worry about it, Philly Av. We're cool. I promise. I love you. And I appreciate it. I know that I appreciate your kind words in saying that. I didn't take it personally, I promise. But Gaza, the Master Viewer, said, like a highlight reel? Interesting. Well, yeah, clips. Human Girl says, so clips. Yeah, clips would be correct. You could say modern day debate clips. Argon the Sad said the comments would be great. Human Girl said, do it, sir. Top Hot 2 said, do clips on the main channel, but not too many. Let me know, Top Hot 2, how many do you think is too many? Because that's what I was afraid of. If people are subscribed to Modern Day Debate and they get like all of these like videos where they're like, what the heck? They like all these like random clips, they might be like, James, like I don't like that. I don't want that. So let me know. Maybe it is, but how many would be too many? And then Dave Linger says, do you tweet out you are going live before you go live? We tweet out at the start of the day that we are going to go, that we're going to host a debate, but we don't do it like right as we go live. Maybe we should though. Human Girl says on this channel. CRISPR CS9 says same channel. By the way, CRISPR, thanks for being so patient with me when I was such a snot before. So sorry. I was, especially because you've been around here forever. I'm sorry about just doing my impressions and all that. So thanks for your super chat. This one coming in from Philly Ev says, I didn't mean to say you shouldn't allow them to talk down to others. Nathan thinking it's cool to use that as a debate tactic was my point. Thanks, Philly Ev, for that update as well. And thanks for your super chat, by the way. I get what you're saying. And Jay Mixon says, his name is Sean Mixon. His channel is called Thought Decoder. I wasn't sure if it was against the rules to play another channel. Huh, that's cool. I didn't know that. But I'm open to that. And CRISPR, but yeah, this is so helpful to get feedback because for me, I was thinking I'm a little bit afraid of if we put the clips on this channel, people might be like, what? This isn't what I was expecting. I didn't want clips. I want full debates. And so I'm like, well, yeah, like, let me know what you think. But Will Stewart says, this channel's fine. Argon the Sad says, build the main channel. Spart344 says, this channel. Mark Reed says, no, keep it on the same channel. That way you wouldn't split subscriptions. I like that. Thanks, Mark Reed. Brooke Chavis says, I think the clips would be great on this channel. Furio says on this channel. Doubting Thomas says, absolutely. Let's see. Thanks for your kind words, Doubting Thomas. Human Girl says, and I say this one only, don't start a new channel. Okay, good to know. So we will not have a separate clips channel because I was thinking I had seen like other channels have clips channels where it's just like a channel for clips. And I was like, I don't like that as much. So I'm glad that you guys are thinking the same thing I'm thinking of. But how many would be too many? Because we've got, you guys, like, I'm excited about this idea because we have a treasure trove of cool clips. Like, we've got, like, like epic debates we've had. Like, oh my gosh, you guys. I mean, like, Matt Dillahunty versus Inspiring Philosophy live and in person. Matt Dillahunty versus Ray Comfort. Dr. David Friedman against Dr. Wolf. Destiny versus Vosh in person. Aaron Raw versus, I forgot his name, but he was a dentist in person. Like, those were epic debate. Like, those are things that it's like we could easily take clips out of those. That would be really quality clips because they're like really quality debates. So, Dave Linger says, upload it on this channel if you want the traffic coming to this channel. Okay, then I will. I will for sure do it on this channel. Gaza, the Master Viewer. Oh, thanks, Gabriel K, for your super chat. Says, diversification is good business plan, but build your main platform first. Not there yet. I'm glad you are showing your personality after show. Thanks for your kind words, Gabriel K. And then, what do you said? Build your main. Oh, okay, Gabriel K. So you're saying like Gabriel K. Would you say like it makes sense to like put the clips on this channel? Like we could upload them to this channel, and you're saying rather than, or are you saying don't do any clips? I think you're saying do if you upload them, put them on this channel. Sorry, I'm behind. Just catching up right now. But yeah, it looks like most people are like, yeah, do it on this channel. Thanks, Perfect One says, glad we could be here for you when and where we could. You do a lot for us. Thanks. Thanks for your kind words. Seriously, that means a lot. Thank you. And you guys seriously were there for me last week. Doing this last week was honestly, it was a huge blessing. Like, you have no idea how much it meant to me, because last week was one of the darker weeks I've had in a long time. I think some of you were here the other day. My friend John, who I used to live with, and we were good friends, like super close friends, he passed away last week. And so long story short, just by being here, you guys, just by being here, seriously, I'm dead serious about this. You have no idea how much it means to me. 100% serious. It means a lot just to be with you. So thank you guys just for hanging out here. It makes it fun. The more the merrier. And thanks for all your support. Thanks for the bond. And Sigma Annie says, holy crepes, you still at it? Dipped out for a bit. Good show, and thanks for everything, James. Also, I like the clips. Would watch here more likely than another channel. Oh, good to know. Thanks for letting me know that. That's cool, you guys. I'm so encouraged. That's encouraging to know, you guys. I'm just so excited that this idea, you guys aren't turned off by it. And it sounds like you guys are like, yeah, that could work. How many would be too many? I'm curious about that, because with how many we have, you guys, we could put out a lot of clips. And so if you happen to have video editing skills, like, let me know, because like, we're looking for somebody that would be willing to cut through those clips. Philly Ave, thanks for your kind words. Says, sorry for your loss, man. Happy we can all come together on a platform like this. Philly Ave, thanks so much. Seriously, that means a lot. I appreciate you. Love you, brother. And it does mean a lot. And so thank you. And I'm sorry if I missed. Oh, it was Sigma Annie. Thank you for yours. And then, but yeah, thank you guys for your support. You have no idea how much it means. And so Platinum says, how about a playlist with the clips and you can add the new ones? Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, we could put it into a playlist so it seems kind of more organized and distinct. I like that. Fox Sushi says, more link backs the better, right? That's true. Yeah, I mean, if YouTube recommends it, like, that's pretty cool. Will Stewart, THFC Rant, says, pass-through links are not as effective as direct subbing in the video itself. That makes sense. Like, that's cool. But yeah, like, how many would be too many? Could we do one a day? Like let's say we did one every morning. Like, is that too many? Could we do 2 a day? I don't know if we have that much content. We'd probably kind of run through it fast. Maybe one just every other day. I don't know. Mr. P says, James, I've been thinking of a potential new channel name. Modern Day Hysteria. No idea where I got it from. That's so funny that you've been around for that long, back when we used to be called Modern Day Hysteria. Let's see. Cider Report says, can't wait for my debate on Monday. James, thanks again. Thanks for your patience, man. I still have to make the thumbnail, and I'm sorry that I haven't done that already. And so thanks for your kind words. General Balzac says, I think it works for a lot of channels. I tend to prefer long form, but it's helped Tim Pool out. Yeah, I think it would be great. I mean, virtually every channel does it now. Jay Mixon says, his name is Sean Mixon. His channel is called, oh, we got that. Thanks for that. And then Philly Ev says, I kind of like a secondary channel. The bell being on would be rough on the main channel. Yeah, that's true. I could understand that. I mean, that's what I'm worried about. Lily Arrow says, maybe the best line per debater. Yeah, I mean, that's possible. Sideshow Nav says, great idea. Thanks for that feedback, though, you guys. Better Top says, I'm a big fan of dialogue debate. Huh, okay, good to know. And, but yeah, let's see. Will Stewart says, do the clips to be uploaded after the debate and before the next one. Do the clips to be uploaded after that debate and before the next debate. Let's see, before the next debate. Yeah, that makes sense. Before the next one. So however many would fit in between, 3 to 5 would be good. Well, but Will Stewart, what if we had, when you guys say 3 to 5 or maybe 5 to 6, are you guys saying that you must mean per week, right? So like, because some of you guys, you're saying 3 to 5, or, you know, and I'm like, but do you mean per week, right? Just to be sure, because I think that's what you mean, but I just want to be sure. So let me know. Will Stewart, Dave Langer says, also, you may want to clip out the after shows from your uploads so people don't think the debates are 3 to 4 hours long. That's a good point. Yeah. Web Bart says you can do one a week and move up. That's a good point. We could test it. That's a good point. So we could just play it by ear, and if it just keeps working, and if the average, like, yeah. So Capteen says make clips picture in certain style so it's easy to tell that it's a clip and not full video. That's a good idea. He said people don't like looking for full videos. Don't like looking for full videos. Touche. And then Dave Langer says you should tweet out you were going live 30 minutes before the debate start time. Oh, that's good to know. Thanks for that, Dave Langer. Manic Panda says an issue you may have with clips is pressing your own bias with clips you choose. If clips only one side of an argument, you could be seen as biased. That's true. I totally agree. That's why I've never done it this whole time, is I've been afraid of how it might look. Thanks, Dave Langer said that you could do the auto tweet. I'm open to that. And then 1 to 2 a day, CRISPR says is fine. Play clips. Let's see. Brooke Chavez says yes per week. Let me just really quick. Reswat of course says, would you do sit-down debates with all participants at the same location? Yes, I plan on doing that this summer. No joke. Dapper Dino says, is there an after show? This is it, buddy. Oh, wait, Amy's having one, but I think it's late tonight, so I don't think it's going to start for a while. But it's in the description if you want to check in case I'm wrong. Tekia B. Etshot says, was it Zyko is? I don't know who that is, but we're glad you're here, my friend. C4 says, I'm sorry for your loss, James. Thanks for your kind words. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm like catching up in the chat where people are... I'm so sorry, you guys. The chat's just been moving fast and I haven't been able to keep up. But thank you guys for your sympathy and your kind words and support. Seriously, that does really mean a lot. Thank you for your hearts, your kindness, No Name and Platinum, Gabriel K, Spart. And but yeah, thank you guys so much. Thanks, Manic Pandas. And thank you guys for your kind words. Mr. P says, James, tell the chat when you're starting a Kickstarter for your chin reduction surgery. That's funny. You got a good, I like that. But yeah, Sigma NE says 700 would be too many. Thanks, Lily Aro, for your kind words. But yeah, I agree, 700 too many. And then thanks, Thom Walbrand, my dear friend. I seriously appreciate you. I love you. Don't cry. It's okay. I got like I'm coming through the grieving and like I'm feeling like close to normal again. I just appreciate all your guys' love and support, and so thank you. And now I'm hoping to reach out to the family. Like I sent sympathy cards, and I want to kind of be there for them and support them, and kind of carry on the torch of kindness and love that my friend John had shown to me, because he really did. Like it's I can't exaggerate just how generous and kind he was to me. Like I honestly am just so thankful for him, that he was in my life and he influenced me. And so, oh, okay. Perfect One says it can hurt your algorithm rating to upload on the same channel. People who watch the whole thing will not watch the clips. That's true. Are you guys, is this weird or is this bad if we uploaded like old clips? Like, let's say, like some people maybe haven't seen Matt Dillahunty versus Ray Comfort. If we upload like clips from there, like are those fair game? Like, could we upload like just like a small number? Is that bad? I just if it's like a good, if it's a good little clip, as I'm just like, because that's like something that people will be like, oh, cool, like people like seeing that. And so thanks, Doubting Thomas says, I'll watch everything you post, but that's just me. Thank you for that. And then Tuss Beatbox says 3 a week is probably a good start. Maybe every Monday, says CRISPR, and then every Wednesday maybe. Thanks for that feedback. CRISPR says 2 a day at the very most. Number of clips depends on content of debate. Playlist is awesome idea. The number of clips depends on content of the debate. Good point. That's a good point. And then let's see. General Ballsack says, I might have to unsub if you do that. You could always just turn off notifications, because that way, it wouldn't drive you nuts when you get all these little clips. Platinum says, we need Google Forms poll on this. People could vote on that anonymously. But yeah, thank you guys for your feedback on that clips idea. And thanks, Mark Reed, for your kind words. Appreciate that. Rezawad, of course, says, sorry about last week. How about a 24-hour channel that loops previous debates with a live chat to boot? That's not a bad idea. Reservoir of Gore. That's a pretty good idea. That for real? That might work. And the reason is because I think YouTube recommends live debates. And as long as we put like in the description or the title, we just say to people, we're like, this is not actually a live debate. So please, know that we're not live right now. That way people won't be deceived. And YouTube does favor live streams. They do. Yeah, Dotail says, to avoid bias, I would pick 2 good comebacks from each debater in the same clip. I agree. Yeah, I do think that's true. And then, but yeah, so good point. And then, yeah, let's see. But yeah, it's true. Let's see. I'll have to think about that. And thanks, says, this is super helpful feedback. Oh yeah, I agree. Platium says just do it on the non-debate days. That's a great idea. I'm gonna wrap up in a few minutes as Amy's having her after show soon, and I don't want to. Will Stewart says 3 to 5 clips from each debate. Oh, good to know. Thanks for that feedback, Will. Seriously, I appreciate that. Thanks, Silver Harlow says, I got your last chat, buddy. And Slideshow Nav says, uploading clips of past debates will help me prioritize which ones to watch, especially on days there's not a live debate. Oh, that's good to know. Yeah, so like, is that like okay if we like, if I uploaded clips from like, like I said, Matt and Ray Comfort debated like a year ago. Is that like if I uploaded clips from debates such as that, or like Matt and Inspiring Philosophy, or Kent Hovind versus Destiny? Like, could we do clips like that? But yeah, Reservoir of Gore, that like is a very real thing. Like I might actually do that. And so Devil's Advocate says the best show short edit would get more watches than replays of live shows. I lose interest in the long form if not live. Oh, I wonder, like, what if we started a second channel that just said like the Modern Day Debate live, like old Modern Day Debate classic, like ESPN classic, where it's playing live streams like all the time of old debates. It would be another way in which we could like redirect people to Modern Day Debate, the main channel, like, and if it just had like, yeah, like streams of old debates. So we've got like 550 debates, and let's say that's, how many hours would that be? Each one is, let's say, an average of 2 hours. That's 1,100 hours, 1,100 divided by 24, which means that we could use that strategy, and every 45 days, if we went through every single debate, it would be about a month and a half that it could just go without playing the same debate. It just, every month and a half, it goes through our whole string of debates. Like, I'm just kind of like, well, we've got the content like here in the library, and we're trying to find ways of like how we get other people to know about Modern Day Debate. Skeptic77 and Daniel Marson, thanks for coming with us, my dear friends. We're glad you're here. And I just like that. It was like one of my favorite greetings, because it's Skeptic77 and then Daniel Marson, who's saying shalom, everyone. So like clearly a skeptic and a religious believer. And I just like that we get to welcome both and everybody. But yeah, so let's see. I'm reading your feedback. Yeah, that's a good point. Give people clips, give reason to watch the clips. Captain Lazari, I agree. Thanks, Human Girl, for your support. Says, I love this channel. Gabriel K says, have more surveys. I never got one from you. We like rarely ever did surveys, but I'm open to doing another one, and I plan on doing another one. Oh, that's a good point. Dave Langer, we could do replays of like classic favorite debates. We could do that live. But Dave Langer, like, are you saying like, I'm not exactly sure what you mean. Do you mean like, yeah, premiere thing for any replays? Yeah, so you mean like that way it's on the main channel? Because if it's on the main channel, then, thanks for your kind words, Gabriel K. If it's on the main channel and we're replaying old debates, and we could just do it once in a while maybe, that would still be good just because it would be here at the channel. Mr. P says, James K, for a 50,000 K special, the fans want a T-Jump versus Kunz rematch. Give us the fan service or we'll call you in for being a beta. That would be fun. I do love Tom. He's my brother. And let's see. Spart says, I think Doubting Thomas wants to... Okay, don't want to know about that, but thank you. Let's see. Oh, Mark Reed says, highlights of old clips would be awesome. And Kalub says, I have to agree with Mr. P on this one. Mr. P said... Oh, yeah, that's funny. Good old Tom. I love Tom. I hope he's doing well. And Gaza says, the playlist idea would mean you wouldn't need to create a new channel. I agree. I think we're going to do clips on this channel. We got to figure out a way to do it fairly. Razawad of Gore said, glad you like the idea. The live chat on the loop could boost your subs. Well, wait, but Razawad of Gore, you mean at a separate channel, right? Like, do you mean like... You don't mean at this channel, right? Because I was thinking like at a separate channel. Because like I don't think I could, for example, like live stream simultaneously like a new debate while we're streaming an old debate at the same time. Gabriel K says, no, keep it on MDD. Own it, James. Platinum says, the 24-hour channel is awesome, but it'll take a lot of bandwidth and a PC running 24/7. You're right, Platinum. It would take like another PC running literally all the time. I don't know if I'm able to run every single debate that we've had ever. But yeah, Stripper Liquor says, I'm sub to 100 channels, watch 50 clips minimum a day. I never go any creator second channels, even though there are lots. Oh, that's good to know, Stripper Liquor. Thanks for that feedback. And then... Human Girl says, do compilations like Christians versus Atheists, like clips of old ones. Yeah, I'm open to that. Sigma Annie says, wait, is this some kind of modern day debate going on in the chat? They probably are. Some people I'm sure are debating. But Silver Harlow says, after losing everything but this cheap cell phone, your channel keeps me sane. Thanks so much. Thanks, Silver Harlow, for your kind words. I hope everything's going okay. I'm sorry to hear that. And we're glad you're here, Silver. So the feeling is mutual. We love you. Thanks for being with us. And Dave Langer says, when it's tagged premiere, most people know it's not really live. Yeah. But Dave Langer, again, do you mean like at this channel or at a separate channel if we had... So like, should we do something like... Yeah, right, J Mixon, keep dreaming. Let's see. J Mixon, keep dreaming. I will tell you, well, I'll talk about that later. But Paul Risson says, liked, subbed, and shared. One of the best debate shows on the flat, stationary plane, modern day debate. Stay strong and keep up the great work, my guy. Thanks, Paul. That means a lot. I appreciate it, Paul. Thanks for your love. And so, but yeah, so like, what do you guys think? So we should do clips at this channel. That is like, we're all on the same page there. Maybe a 24-hour live channel. Argon the Sad. So everybody seems like several people, 3 people have told me I never look at the secondary channels unless I'm already a fan. Yeah, so like, let's see. But yeah, so I'm, yeah, But it sounds like, yeah. So thank you guys for your support. Thank you guys. Love you guys. As far as I can tell, the chat's slowing down. Thanks for your kind words, Straightinger Wolf. Thank you for that. I appreciate that, my friend. Glad to have you with us. Appreciate you being here. And Reservoir of Gore says, yes, on this channel, many other channels run live streams simultaneously. Oh, I didn't know that. You could even group the loop debates into themes instead of Shark Week. Instead of Shark Week, you could have Flat Earth Week. Oh, okay. Dave Linger says, on Modern Day Debate, on this channel, since you're asking if people would be confused, if it was really live or not. If it's the premiere, they would know it's a replay. You could also tag the debate. Oh, yeah. Tag the date. Okay, good to know. So maybe Reservoir of Gore, and you're saying you could do... should we always have like the 20, like basically like the Modern Day Debate Classic stream, which just plays through like all of our debates from the past? Is that what you're saying? Let me know. Where did I save your chat, Reservoir of Gore? A 24-hour channel that loops previous debates with a live chat to boot. Yeah, I mean, like, so, like, maybe we could do it. Let's see. I will admit, Jay, that Tom did, he got me into a corner on the problem of evil. I will stress there was something, Tom's not here to defend himself, so I won't bring it up. But there's something that to be fair, to be balanced, there is something that I feel like I caught Tom with his pants down on. So, but like I said, don't want to go too far into it without Tom here. So, but yeah, let's see. But yeah, I would agree that on the problem of evil, which is probably the debate that you saw, because I remember there was one where I was like, I don't think I just didn't feel like it was as good as it could have been. But yeah, let's see. Reservoir of Gore says, yes, on this channel, many other channels run live streams simultaneously. I didn't know you can do it simultaneously. And Dave Langer says, on this channel, since you were asking if people would be confused if it was really live or not. Oh, I see, because that way people would be like, I've already seen this debate. Dave Langer, I see what you're saying. So like our subscribers will know, they'll be like, I've already seen this. Like this can't be a new debate. So that's a good point, and they'll be less likely to misinterpret it. Touche. And so if we did it on this channel, that could work. Let's see. Robert Greenlee, let's see. You just don't get it. I mean, like I told you in the email, I said, like, we don't want you to do nasty attacks on guests. Robert Greenlee, like, you just don't get it. You seem to be struggling, buddy. You're having a hard time. And so that's why I just banned you, even though you weren't even banned. When you emailed me today, you weren't even in the ban list. And I explained to you, we don't want people to attack the guests. We want them to attack the arguments. And you just don't, you either have a lack of self-control or you're just, I won't say what the other thing is, but yeah, Robert, it's like, dude, seriously? Like, wow. I'm impressed that there are people out there like you. Are you 13? Like, but thanks, Jay Mixon, for your support. Appreciate that. Says T-Jump versus James 2, you can call it redemption or resurrection. James Kunz rises from the pits of utter defeat. Oh, you're good. I like it. You got a good sense of humor. That's good. Let's see. But yeah, Sigma, and he says, and anyone smarter than me, does it hurt the algorithm if too many people click off a 24-hour stream, since debates are typically quite long and not perpetually interesting? Yeah, I mean, for me though, I'm just like, I feel like it's a video that YouTube will be recommending of ours all the time. Because if you're live, I think YouTube usually like recommends you more. And so that's kind of why I like it, is that I feel like it would like help YouTube recommend us more. And so Perfect One says, if you could stream the old content with a live side scroll text chat, that would be good. You mean a live, like just the live chat while we stream the old debates? Because we could do that. Sideshow Nass says, shoot for the moon and discard no ideas now. Worry about the logistics after forming the ideas. Agreed. Let's see. Tuss says iffy. Yeah, Top Hot says like, so I agree that the 24-hour stream wouldn't be that. The one thing that's bad about a 24-hour stream is that technically every 12 hours YouTube breaks the video into a piece. Like they're just basically will say like, they'll be like, all right, 12 hours, that's a new upload. And then, all right, that's 12 hours, that's a new upload. So what would happen is if we did that, we'd have about like, I don't know if my math is right, like 90 different 12-hour videos. And that's like not quite what I'm looking for. Because I like it if it's just a constant, because I'd have to like basically delete each 12-hour thing as it pops up. I'm open to it. I'm like, yeah, I'm just kind of figuring it out. But Manic Pandas is right. Yeah, people a lot of times they do just sometimes seem to not understand that it's like a premiere versus the live show. Top Hot doesn't really like it as much. So people seem to be much more in favor of the clips idea. But the 24-hour stream, people are kind of like mixed feelings on. So that one we'll at least prioritize the clips one, because that one I think people would really like. That seems more consistent. And so but yeah, let's see. Dave Langer says James versus T Jump with Converse contender moderating. That is money. That would be fun, and I'm tempted. One of the reasons I also like, yeah. So maybe. Dr. Bass Ackwards says, when did this debate start? It was 3 hours ago, and then Silver says, I know you're tired of taking the cultural myths as literal when they're meant to be mythical. And Perfect One says, if you want views, get Darth Dawkins in to moderate a debate. That's funny. But yeah, thank you guys for your support. Thanks for all your ideas. Y Tyranny says, live chat on clips, definitely a plus. Oh yeah, we could do that. So we could upload it as a premiere when it is a clip. That's true. People would probably enjoy that. So yeah, that's a good idea. Dotail says, I like to listen to podcasts all day while I work, and I would prefer to listen to debates, so the 24-hour would be interesting at least to try. Maybe. I'm open to it. Like, I'm going to prioritize the clips, and then we might do the kind of modern day debate classic where it just has a constant live stream of all of our debates. I'm open to that. So I do like that. And so yeah, I'm open to that. There is something about a live chat where you get to like be there live talking with people as the debates are playing. So that's kind of one reason why I kind of lean toward that way. Affix Amin, thanks for being with us, my dear friend. So yeah, that's why I kind of like lean toward that. But thank you guys for everything. Thanks for all your support. Thanks for all your love. I hope you have a great rest of your night. Keep sifting out the reasonable from the unreasonable. Thank you guys. If you want to help Modern Day Debate, I want to let you know, you guys, sharing our videos, like that helps a ton. So thank you guys for doing that, as we totally appreciate it. That's a way in which it's like, if you know a person who likes debates, or they like philosophy topics, or if you know that they love apologetics or skepticism or whatever it is, I would encourage you, like, hey, please do feel free to share it. And so also, though, really excited about this. Check us out on your favorite podcast app, as we are pumped. And so if you're listening, and you guys, did you know, my dear friends, if you're listening right now, did you know that we're on podcast? If you didn't, want to let you know we are. And so that way you can listen to Modern Day Debate all the time. We hope that's useful to you. And so thank you guys, though. So thanks for all of your support. And then, because Brooke told me to, what Brooke says, we do. We've gotta. Brooke told me to share with you guys the Amazon link. Another way to support the channel. Dave Langer, you're right. We can have a new live chat with the premiere, and I do like that. And then also, yeah, I want to mention, Oh yeah, if you want to support the stream, another thing. You're a nasty guy, Reservoir of Gore. But another thing is, Brooke told me to share this, and I think it's true. It's a great idea. Is that if you are going to shop on Amazon anytime in the near future, is if you bookmark this link that I'm about to put in the chat, if you bookmarked it, and then let's say that every time you go to buy something on Amazon, you use this link to open Amazon first, Amazon portal link. This is our Amazon portal link, and if you use this bookmarked Amazon portal link to get onto Amazon and then make your purchases, what'll happen is it's like 2 to 3% goes to Modern Day Debate, which is really helpful because that can add up, so like really it can. And so we do appreciate that support, and it's no extra cost to you. So I just want to let you know that it is definitely not an extra cost to you. And then also want to let you know, you guys, if you have your free Twitch subscription being used for Modern Day Debate on Twitch, want to let you know, you guys, we actually, if you're using that free Twitch subscription, it has to be renewed. If it's through Amazon Prime, where you get the free subscription, it has to be renewed every month. So I want to give you a reminder, if you haven't renewed it, please do, as that helps the channel, and we really do appreciate that support. So like I've got my Google Calendar has like a reminder where it says like on the 29th, make sure you renew your Twitch subscription every 29th of the month. And I set it as a recurring reminder on Google Maps. And it really helps. And so, but yeah, thank you guys so much for your support. I seriously appreciate it. Thanks for your love. And you guys just like totally appreciate it. Tussbeatbox for your kind words and support. Thanks, Sigma Annie, for your kind words. Says many hearts to James, Modern Day Debate, and fellow chatty folks. Bruh. Thanks for that. Appreciate that, my friend. And yeah, you guys, we were excited about the future. It's epic. It's exciting what we're going to do. We're pumped about it. This summer, I'm planning on a lot of in-person debates. I'm pumped for it. It's going to be great. And then, oh, sorry, Mark Reed. I didn't realize that the Amazon link doesn't work unless you're in the US. Oh, sorry about that. Chris Burns says, where's Reckless Ben? Reckless Ben, he said he could do this date, but then he never got back to me when I confirmed it. So I confirmed. I was like, all right, great. We'll do it on Friday the 19th. And then he just never responded, and I hoped that he would. And because he said, yep, like that works for me, but then he just never showed up. So let's see. I do want to get channel membership here on YouTube, Mr. P, and it's like on my priority list. So thank you so much for reminding me about that. Moomin Rider, Bicyclist for Justice. Good to see you again, my friend. And Jay Mixon, thanks for your support. Flat Earth Guy, thanks for your support. Thank you guys so much. I love you guys. Appreciate you guys. And I'm trying to think of anything I forgot. Oh yeah, we do have a Patreon. Like I sometimes forget to mention this. We do have a Patreon, you guys. And so if you enjoy the channel, you can see on the bottom of the screen, there's that ticker. That's our little thank you Patreon ticker. Basically thanking all of our Patreons. And so I am just putting that into the chat and just want to let you know, like, hey, that's a value to you. Like, hey, we'd encourage you. Please do check us out on Patreon. And so thanks so much for all of your support. For those of you who are already patrons, don't feel obligated. I just want you to know, we just love that you hang out here. That's what makes it fun. And so, but if you want, there's a way in which I think it's like this, I can't remember. If you do the first tier, all of our Kickstarter events will be free. We're trying to get a Kickstarter event for April. And so that would be epic. And so do want to encourage you. It's like, I think it's like $2 a month, and then those will be free. And then it's like, I think the second tier is, your name and the thank you ticker and all that. And so, which is on screen there at the bottom, as you can see right now. Anthony Dickinson, thanks for your kind words. Says, much love, James, and everyone in the chat. Shabbat Shalom. Thank you for your kind words. That means a lot, my friend. Appreciate it really does mean a lot. I seriously appreciate that. And Tails says, James, I think people are just seeing a double standard. Matt literally threatened to never come back and was manipulated. Like, well, let's see. It is true that, I don't know. How do I say? I have read your comment. I want you to know that, Tails. He said I'd never want someone deplatformed for their views. I like hearing all sides, but it's also like guests shouldn't be allowed to be rude to the audience, so it works both ways. That's true. I do agree that it's like, if it doesn't make sense that, so yeah, I'm thinking that is a new rule we're moving toward. It makes sense that if the audience can't be mean to the guest, like if they can't trash the guest, then I agree that we should say, I should say to the speakers, like, please don't trash the people in the live chat. To be fair, one thing I'd mention is like, there were some people, we did block a lot of people tonight that were actually harassing Nathan. I don't think Nathan meant to say that everybody in the live chat is, dumb or whatever. I think he was saying like the haters. And so, but I agree with you. I think as a general rule, we should just say, hey, we want it to be peaceful. Thanks for your kind words. Brooke Chavez says, have a wonderful night, everybody. Perfect One says, I think you can play a playlist that might get around at the 12-hour video length. Let me find out. But yeah, I know that we could have it just continually such that there is a live stream. It's just that, I guess we got to kind of expect that like YouTube's not going to be like, they won't allow us to do like a 45-day upload, right? Which is amazing that I've spent 45 days of like streaming. So like, feel pretty, I've done this a while. Kind of figured out OBS, but yeah. But yeah, thank you guys for your support. Thanks for your love. I'm excited, you guys. Thank you for all of your support. Thanks for all your love. I'm just trying to think of like anything that I'm forgetting. I was going to ask you guys some stuff, but I can't remember what it was. I could have sworn it was like something to do with scheduling or timing. I can't remember. But yeah. All right. Love you guys. Thanks so much for your kindness. Jay Mixon, I heard that Amy's after show is starting like right now. So I would check it out. That's linked in the description if you want to see it. Oh, you're right. I'm so sorry. Dave Linger says the Twitch chat was great tonight. We didn't have to time out or delete anyone. Oh, that's good. I'm glad. Reswat of course says, I think your manner would lend itself to interviews with academics or experts too. Thanks, my friend. I appreciate that. And Platinum says, how about stream an old debate on non-new debate days? I agree. That could work. I'm leaning more toward clips. But yeah, let me think about this. We'll figure it out. So thank you guys. If there's a video editor out there who's like, hey man, I might be like up for like doing that, like chopping up clips, like yeah, as long as it's not biased. That's the thing, is I don't want it to just be like, like slam dunks by one side in all the clips. I'm okay with some clips where it's like, yeah, it seems like that person looked a little bit better, but I don't want basically to have it where it looks like, oh man, like every time the atheist or the Christian or the flat earth or whatever, I don't want it to be where it's like, oh yeah, like they like looked better or had the last word on every single time. So I don't know. But yeah, thank you guys so much for all of your kindness and love. Thanks for all of your support. And then No Name, that link to Amy's after show is in the description. And so they're live right now. I'll throw that in the live chat for you, my friend. And so, yeah, we appreciate Amy and James and the rest of the gang. They've been really good to us. And so Amy's live show right there. And who was it that I can't remember? Tail says you could do a best of type of thing, like take some great points from many debates on a topic like flat earth, biblical slavery, or yeah, that's true. Best of, yeah. So that would be cool. I'm open to that. So thank you for your support and love, you guys. Appreciate you all. Seriously, you guys have no idea. This channel is awesome because of you. Like, it's fun. It's a party because of you. Like, you guys are a community. We're all a community. And you guys honestly have no idea how much you help this channel just with everything that you do. Thank you for that. And then want to have, yeah, just thank you guys. I love you guys. Thanks for everything. And yes, there will be a debate tomorrow night. I'm not sure. I think it's probably going to be a new moderator, Kaz, really kind guy, who's probably going to be moderating it. I'm going to a wedding, and I don't know if I'll be back in time. And so, yeah, long story short, it's going to be epic, though. And so thanks, everybody. Love you. Keep sifting out the reasonable from the unreasonable. Take care.